What is up, fellow nerds, and welcome to Not Your Status Quo. We're talking The Acolyte, we're talking The House of the Dragon. Dave's smile creeped me out there, and I almost forgot what I was supposed to say. So, Dave, if you keep doing that, your face is going to freeze that way. But,
Okay. Or this. How yeah.
before we get into all of that fun, Dave, Doug, how's it going?
Well, Keith, I am fan-freaking-tastic. I was out last week in a very enjoyable vacation, so I missed the Sunday show. Sorry about that, guys.
We told everyone you were doing the rewrites on the Blade movie.
Oh, yeah, vacation. It was a working vacation.
Got it. Oh, yeah. That makes sense.
So what are we up to? Script number 5, 6?
Well, I forget how to pronounce his name. Harsha.
Mashallah Ali, something like that.
Yeah, he was just like throwing everything out. He's like, none of this works, man. So, but me and Feige got it, banged out, which will probably get rejected later. So don't worry.
There's got to be a better way to say that.
Yeah, me and Feige banged it out back.
Are you saying phrasing?
Yes.
So yeah, that's okay. To avoid any further embarrassment, hey Doug, how you doing?
Well, Dave, let me tell you, I am outstanding. Yes, I know, fanfare. Woo! Insert laugh track and applause right here. There we go. Okay, editing magic. No. You know what, Keith? We need to get you like a really advanced soundboard with like 800 buttons, and you just be like DJ K over here, queuing up a bunch of nonsense.
It's funny you say that because my Stream Deck only has like 15 buttons, but there's one with like 40. Think about that.
Oh my gosh, we could have so many stupid sound effects.
I got clapping hands up here.
Other side.
Yeah.
Right. How's that?
Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, I am doing outstanding. Let's see. I am mostly excited to talk about some of these shows with y'all. I'm a little bit more excited for one than the other, but hey,
Understandable.
But anyway, Keith, sir, how are you?
Gentlemen, I am tremendous. Much like Dave, I also had a vacation week last week. It was enjoyable. It was nice to get away. Unfortunately, I didn't win the lottery.
Wait, then who did I stream with?
Well, I was back on Sunday. Dave came back the day after. It wasn't my scroll. You didn't have to pull the real Keith out of the basement. Or wait, am I? I don't even remember anymore. But I just want to say, we got 3 shows we've been watching every week, and 2 out of 3 have been good. So we're hitting 666. Whoa. I should have thought about that.
Well, it depends.
We're hitting well above 600. How's that?
There you go.
Which, in baseball terms, that's a pretty darn good batting average. And the other one, honestly, isn't terrible, but it is just
a little messy.
It's just every week it seems to be going downhill. It's just like just a little bit each time, It's just like, where's the cliff?
I don't even know if it's going downhill. I almost feel like it's just a steady plateau.
You think that it leveled off?
Yeah, that's how I feel. I'm like, I'm so in. We should let Keith switch the graphic.
Yeah.
Let's get into it so we can talk about it.
Let's talk about The Acolyte. And we are talking episode 6, Teach and Corrupt, and episode 7, Choice, since we haven't talked about 6 last week, because of the vacations and stuff. So, this show, not bad, but not necessarily good either. It's like if writing had a vanilla flavor. You don't really care.
Yeah, like I see the elements that could have made a good show. Like some of these story features, like let's take a minute, let's talk about like some, because there were a few good things. how it's been, I'd say, for some of these episodes. Every now and again, you get a few good things, like the first episode. Pretty amazing choreography. I liked seeing, a little bit of kung fu in my Jedi fight. That was different. It was interesting. For these two episodes, I mean, we got a different look at a Sith, and it was like a different take on it, where he was just acting like a normal dude, being a bit manipulative. But I mean, I think it was almost an even better take on Good Guy Pelts.
I see. I think my theory from the other week, this showed more of it. He's not a Sith. He's going to be a Knight of the Rens of some type, whether
Sure.
the first one or something.
All right, he could be that
because
too.
He's not like
I'm just saying he's
evil.
not a Jedi.
Right. He's like, I'm not evil per se, but I'm going to use all aspects of the Force, and I'm kind of going to do what I want. I'm not going to be some goody two shoes. You're not going to tell me how I use the Force. And Quimir has been the most interesting part of the show. The things they want us to care about, like the twin story, I don't care about. I have zero interest in how it plays
Right.
out. And I wanted to care about it so much. And the most interesting part is what they put on the back burner and don't show us. And by the way, if you would have told me a year ago that I was going to see a Wookiee having a lightsaber battle with two Jedi, and it would be ho-hum, I would have called you a liar. But I stand corrected.
You know what? I am tired of, at least with this show, because they're doing it wrong, the entire episode flashback thing. Because I don't think this needs that. The way they're telling the story is just so straightforward. That's the word I was trying to think of. There's no like layers to it. I was hoping that we see some layers and go back and go like, oh yeah. But if they were any layers, they were ruined by this show.
Yeah.
This episode, I mean, because they walked you right through everything that they had already done. Him being over just out of sight, watching them do that stuff, it's not groundbreaking or anything. It seemed like, all right, let's just fill up a scene by replaying that and say he's over here. I didn't think it really added anything. We all knew that, they were keeping tabs on those kids, on the twins.
Mm-hmm.
So just to show it doesn't advance the story at all. You know what I mean?
They could have shown everything they did on this episode in the first flashback episode, because there was nothing that, like, I was expecting Quimir to be hiding in the shadows and instigating the fight. But what we saw was exactly like they always say, the most uninteresting story is usually what's right, or the most. And this show proved that. And I was like, that's really what we got for a flashback? Okay, great.
It barely added anything to it. It was more of what we already saw, maybe a little bit less. We didn't get singing this time. Okay. We didn't get singing during the episode this time. So there was that. But no,
we already knew everything that happened. We already knew as an audience. We already knew what happened.
So the whole idea with like May starting the fire, throughout each of these episodes, they've almost been, I think, maybe I've been reading too into it, but I feel like they've been hinting that that's not really what happened, and we just weren't seeing the whole picture. But no, that's literally what happened. She may not have meant to do any of it, but that is literally what happened. Apparently, whatever that little lantern thing, whatever fuel was in it to make the fire, apparently was flammable enough that it was able to spread throughout the entire thing and like blow the whole place up. But like, I mean, there really wasn't much more that we didn't miss a whole lot. Like we got a little bit more as far as like with Torben, we found out that he's pre-Anakin essentially,
and he got his scar from Kalneka, which okay. And
you want to know how I got these scars? Oh, it was a boring Wookiee fight.
And how all the witches died. I was really expecting something more, and Indara just forcing them out of Kalneka's mind? They didn't have that killed him? I'm like,
Yeah.
that was as bad as the droids all
They
shut
got
it
really
down.
tuckered out from fighting, Keith.
Yeah.
You don't understand. They're
That's
really
the Splinter
sleepy.
effect. You know how if you kill the mothership, it kills all the copies?
I
That's
was
what
thinking that
was.
during the episode. I'm like, is that what just happened? Because
Yeah.
when they stabbed the mother, then they all just kind of like, and they were like when you deflate the a waving inflatable tube man or something.
Yeah, it was really
What is
lame.
this?
It could have been so much better. It was really lame. And
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's the best rating that we could give it is really lame.
And the only,
There
we
are
knew
little bits, there are little elements of things that could have worked, could have been better. Like I didn't mind exploring a whiny Jedi Padawan. I thought that was kind of an interesting thing. I liked knowing that, Luke isn't the only whiny little, I want to go to Tashi Station, or, Anakin, I hate sand. It's good to know that, like, apparently all young Jedi are just whiny little shits. And, for him to, like, speed off, I really want to go home. I miss food and not camping.
Yeah. That's his big motivation. That is what she
I just want to go home. I've been here for 7 months and it's boring. And I
want to go back to being Joffrey's younger brother.
I mean, so like there are a couple of elements that are, worth exploring. But I think the major issue is what Dave was pointing out a minute ago. It's like the way that they are by the numbers walking you through everything. I think that's what's really hurting this is it's arranged so sloppily, so lazily. It's like this could have been edited together in a better way. Like when they told us that this was going to be a mystery show, I kind of expected mysteries that we would care about, twists that we'd be like, oh my God, I can't. Is it next week yet? I need to know what's going to happen. Like maybe some other shows that we've been watching where we're like, oh my gosh, that was an insane twist. I need to know what's going on. But instead, it's like, what's going to happen when Osha puts on the helmet? I don't care. I don't know. She'll have a force vision or some shit. I'm indifferent.
Yeah, to me, it's what I've always. Oh, go ahead, Dave.
I was just gonna say, you guys know how I love She-Hulk. Do you remember the first episode? They were actually going to air that as the second to last episode, right? Or did you know that?
No, wait,
she's on the island with Bruce. When
that was going to be the second to last
episode. Island with Bruce. They were going to actually have that later in the season instead of the first episode, like a flashback.
Well, I'm glad they didn't do that.
I'm going to give them credit for doing that. They didn't do that. That was a good move. That's exactly what happened here. This flashback should have been earlier in the season, maybe even in line with what happened.
I don't think, and I said this about the other flashback episode, I don't think it should have been a full episode on its own. I think if they would have sprinkled elements of it throughout, like as one of the twins discovers something or as one of the Jedi tells the story or something, like we see another little shot, we see another little clip, like it could be sprinkled throughout so that way we're not sidetracked on some story that we don't really care about. Like you showed us a potentially interesting episode. Like you've got this it was starting to build things back up. You've got, Guymere kind of being all like he's being very manipulative in a way, but he's being like just normal and quiet about it, and just kind of going about his business. Like he didn't come off as threatening, and I was kind of interested in knowing a little bit more about like what was going on with him, and also this idea that like Soul seemed like he was trying to hide something, so much so that he's shackling May to the table, and he's kind of giving off some not good Jedi vibes. And then you're going to put a halt to that? You're going to hit the brakes on that to give us another flashback episode?
It reversed the roles, too. Like, the Jedi are supposed to be the good ones, and he's got her in shackles. and the Sith, where
And
if he's not
that was
Sith,
kind of an
whatever.
interesting motif. Again, you had the
Right.
building blocks of something cool, and then they're like, wait. But you know what people really want to see is more of the twins as kids with those not great actors.
Yeah.
And
And we won't have to have them act anymore because we're just going to use the scenes that they were already in.
yeah,
Yeah.
we filmed them from a different angle when they're playing at the
Right.
and stuff. But to me
Right.
too, when this flashback started, I'm like, oh, we're gonna find out what Torben felt so guilty about that he was willing to drink that poison when May offered it. What did he do that made him so guilt ridden? I mean,
Right.
Sol killed Anisha. Kalneka was the one who was possessed and attacking his friends. Indara was the one who, with Sol, covered up what really happened. I mean, he really didn't have, unless he just felt bad because he knows what happened. He had to keep his mouth shut. But I was like expecting to find something like, okay, what did Torben do? Like, did he fly off the handle and cause this to happen? But nothing. Nothing in this episode made me believe that he would have been guilty enough to drink poison.
Right.
And I feel like they were shooting themselves in the foot by doing stuff like that. They were making you think that it was going to be better than it actually was. Like they had more mystery, more intrigue than what they actually offered. And like I said, the whole premise that they had put forward to us was that this was going to be some sort of big mystery series, and it's barely been that.
What mystery is out there?
Who the big Sith Lord is. And you know who it is.
Oh, no, it's not a Sith.
That's not what they're excuse me. That's not what they're alluding to, though. They're not putting that out there.
No, I know.
Yeah, I don't think.
I mean, we earlier in the season, after the first flashback, we're like, the one Mother Coral wasn't among the bodies, and then of course she slips away using that, magic that she uses that Anisha tried to use to get away, and I'm like, okay, you know what? This is exactly why Quimir is trying to get an acolyte of one of the girls, because his master taught him that they were this, clone dyad high M count. I don't even know what to call them. Clones? They're clones, right? Because the way he
Virgins, right?
Through the emergence.
Virgins.
Yes. Virgins.
Yeah.
I think it was the Virgins.
Let me look. I wrote it down because, and that was something that has been talked about in Star Wars before. Like Anakin was a...
Yeah, Qui-Gon mentioned that. I think he said that Anakin was born through a virgins.
Yeah, virgins. And so, once again, they took something that could have been interesting with the twins and didn't make
but nobody wants to see that.
Yeah. So we know, I'm pretty positive after last episodes that Coral is going to be the one that we see. Only if we see it this season. This may be plans for season 2, seeing Coral be Quimir's master. And I won't say Sith Lord because we're right, we don't fully believe. But Dreadlord.
And even if that's the case, if Mean Green Machine is the bad guy, okay.
Well, I don't see it having a season 2.
I do. And for the same reason that Keith said last week, out of hate.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to watch it if it's the same story, is the same as this. It just feels like a waste of time. They could tell me all about it in one episode. If they, with this, could have squeezed it all into one episode.
I thought about that. You know what I would like? Because it does look like it's going to get a season 2 just because of the engagement, which is all the people hate watching it.
Yeah.
And all of the, it's getting such a big social media presence because all the people are like, we have to defend it because it's Star Wars and we love it, but we don't really love it. And all the people, man, this is total garbage. We hate it. And they're just both going back and forth. And Lucasfilm was like, oh my God, look at all this social engagement we're getting. I hope, if it does get a second season, we get new showrunners.
Yeah.
Because I still
people who can arrange this the right way.
Because look at how great Andor was. I hate to keep bringing up Andor, but the way it was structured,
it's a good comparison. It's a worthy comparison.
Yeah, they did a great job of making us interested in the characters, interested in the things going on. Not everything had to be like, oh, this is going to be a huge twist coming up. It was like straightforward at times, but even when it was being straightforward about things going on, it was still enjoyable to watch because of the characters, the dialogue, the situations. I mean, they did a great job, and this does almost none. It's almost like if you had, like, this is going to sound very insulting. I don't want it to. Like kids, young kids writing this episode, because there's no depth. There's no.
Yeah.
It's like they almost understand things on a superficial level, and that's about
Yeah.
it.
And that's kind of what Dave was saying too. That's exactly. It's that, and it's the lack of care and attention that they're doing with a lot of the scenery. Like every now and again, like, and this is the case for this whole series. Everything is, you get a little sprinkling of something cool, and then the rest of it is, water soup. But like every now and again, you get a really cool shot, and it's like, oh, this looks really nice. Like, when you see Osha on, the unknown planet or whatever, some of those shots were set up really nice. It looked really cool. But then this most recent episode, it felt like flat and boring. Like you could tell that they were either using the volume or they were on a stage or something. Like it looked cheap.
That's
that makes
insulting
sense.
to the volume, sir. But it was, once again, the litmus test. Once again, watching this episode, I found myself looking at my phone.
Yeah.
I was like, should I? I'm good. I don't need to rewind it. I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm not missing anything.
Yeah.
It's like you look up, it's like, oh no, I saw this episode already.
I don't need to give it my full attention because I already know what's going to happen. They're walking me through it. In fact, they sent me this clip earlier today.
Oh no, May's starting a fire. Wait, this feels familiar.
Wait, how is there stone on fire? Well, there's this kind of gasoline stuff, right? Okay. It's gonna burn down everything, right? The whole mountain? Yeah.
I have a very minor Star Wars nitpick, and it's like the least of our concerns for the show. But something that's been bothering me about this series is this is supposed to take place like 100 years before The Phantom Menace, right?
True that.
Is it 200 or 100?
200?
I think it's 100.
Okay.
Either way, it's a good long while before The Phantom Menace. Why does it seem like the technology is like identical to what it was during The Phantom Menace? Like when we're looking at the screen that they used to test Osha and May, it's the same one that they used for Anakin, that the Council used for Anakin in The Phantom Menace. Like, you're telling me that they've used the same iPads for 200 years?
It was the Dark Ages.
Yeah, nothing advanced very quickly until an alien craft landed on Coruscant, and then all of a sudden, after 1947, it really picked up. I mean, after whatever year they said it was.
Just like, I mean, I did like the idea that, whenever they want to go into hyperspace, they do have to use those rings. I thought that's a nice little callback. But again, this is supposed to be 200 years before. Like, I feel like the technology should be even more antiquated.
It should. You're right.
You're definitely not wrong.
It should be,
But again, the least of our concerns for the show.
The one little thing I did like at the beginning of episode 7, Choice, when they're talking, and she said there was a hyperspace incident that destroyed a lot of life on there. That was to the first novel in the New Republic called Light of the Jedi, where I did read a while ago, and so when it did that, I was like, oh, that's cool. They're referencing that. They didn't overdo it. They just kind of talked about it like it was well known. I was like, okay, cool. You guys referenced one of the books I read. Thank you. But it's still...
things like that would actually be more welcome in this series. If instead of hand-holding you and, doing everything on the surface, if they treat it sort of like they did A New Hope, where you're just, you're going in, you're watching the movie, and you're accepting that things are the way they are because this is a different galaxy a long time ago, far, far away or whatever. And it's like, they don't explain what a power converter is or why Luke needs to go to Tasha Station to get them. They don't explain, the idea that they're setting up evaporators on the planet of Tatooine, or, they don't really go into detail about the blue milk or anything. This is just part of the world, and you have to go in and accept and accept it. So yes, if they would have done more of that, where it's like, hey, this thing happened, we're not going to go into detail because everybody already knows about it. Do more of that.
Yeah.
Keep it vague and mysterious, like you promised.
Yeah, if you ever want to cover it again later, you can.
There you go.
That'll open a door for another show or something,
A better show.
Just another topic to cover. Well, if they, it seems like if they had a whole bunch of ideas with this show, they could have used them all on each episode instead of, this season so far is 7 episodes. It could have been explained in 3 so far, I think. At least.
You're not wrong. And on the opposite side of Torben being guilty for what we still don't understand, it made sense. Kalneka wanting to isolate himself, in the woods on that planet. I was like, okay, now I understand why. He feels terrible. He was taken over. He attacked his friends. He,
that's why he's doodling all the crap on his walls, I guess.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, that's fine. Once again, not enough to really make me say, what an episode. That was so cool. I'm like, once again, just
when
like
it's
Dave
over,
said,
it's just like, okay.
Everything is just on a superficial level. It's like nothing too terrible, nothing too good either.
If it hadn't been for like the weird, like off-putting pop song that I've never heard in a Star Wars movie or show before, I would have shut it off before the credits were finished. But instead, I'm like, what is this? What am I listening to? What is happening here? This is the bigger mystery.
Was this the episode where it ended? It was like silence and a blank screen, and then the song started. Like you're supposed to be, but didn't have that effect. Was this this
screen? I don't know. I might have been looking at my phone.
I know it did that. And I was like, that's supposed to be an impact moment, but I'm not feeling it.
Impact moment. The heck kind of impact? I'm trying to wait. Oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank. How did that episode end? Because I remember they were on the ship and they were talking about like keeping it all a secret.
And Dara, says we're gonna basically say it was May's fire, and it was basically
okay,
and not tell the council what Soul did. That was
okay.
Like what was her name?
Osha, and Dara.
No, her mom, Osha's mom.
Oh, Anisha.
By killing her in a puff of smoke, which she was at the time. Now that wasn't really effective for her, right? If she becomes a puff of smoke and he can still stab her, that's kind of an ineffective magic, don't you think?
I would say yes. It certainly seemed odd.
Yeah. Oh, I got that part of the smoke.
It was an illusion.
Yeah, I wasn't really smoke. I was. Why'd you do that? I was smoke. I saw through it.
Oh, that's gonna hurt later. Oh, that's gonna hurt in like 10 seconds.
Maybe she should have reached behind his ear and pulled a credit out.
Yeah. I still think next week's episode we're gonna find out that Quimir's Jedi Master was Venestra, and we're gonna find out that Coral is probably who's training him now. And we're probably going to see Osha turn to the dark side because of what happened earlier, and
sure,
no, exactly, and it'll be okay. They did some things,
and I don't like there's no redemption for May. She killed 3 Jedi or 2 Jedi, 1 Jedi. She killed Indara, okay, because Torben killed himself.
Yeah, that's right.
And Kalnak was killed by Quimir. So. She killed 1 Jedi.
Yeah.
Still, there's no redemption for that.
And
just honestly, because she's had.
Well, now, David.
Yes.
There was redemption for Kylo Ren. Okay, he murdered all those Jedi and blew up an entire planet.
And murdered Han Solo.
And you know what? He got to kiss the girl at the end.
But he had healing powers. That made it all better.
So, you know what? There is redemption for anyone.
What movie is that? I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, what?
Oh, it was some...
Kissing girls?
It was a fan fiction that I read online. A potential novel that might come out,
See,
it was a book that came out in those Oreos that they have for Star Wars. Have you seen those? A little book came with it.
It would have been better to do a little back to the editing room it would have been better to have what the Jedi did there be out in the open and then be under scrutiny by the Senate and stuff, and then have May come back perhaps, to get them. A little more political intrigue, which we got hints of it, when Vanessa was like, we got to take care of this quick and keep it on the down low because of the Senate and stuff. Like, once again, they touched it for a second, and would have been much more interesting to deal with that political fallout from the Jedi behaving this way. Instead, it's all hush hush and
that's how they can put it in, make it canon, and have nobody remember it.
We haven't even seen who's on the council. And they haven't shown us a scene from, the High Republic Senate. Like, so
where did the 20 million per episode go? Is what you're saying?
It's felt pretty claustrophobic. Just these, very plain, boring shots with these sets. And the other vibe that I've been getting through a couple of these episodes, and I apologize if I've said this before, but I truly don't remember, because when we start talking about this, my brain kind of turns to mush, trying to wade my way through this. But sometimes these episodes feel like a mid-90s TV show, like a Xena Warrior Princess or a Hercules or something like that. And I'm not trying to put them down. They were a product of their time. But sometimes this show that has come out in 2024 with a budget, I looked it up, per episode that's the same as the House of the Dragon, by the way.
$180 million to make the Acolyte.
Yeah.
It's only 8 episodes, so it's like 22 million an episode.
Yep.
Yeah, pretty shameful. With that high of a budget, and it looks like a series that came out in 1994.
And you're right. The Xena and the Hercules, all of those things were just pretty straightforward, nothing too exciting. People just liked either the actresses to look at or the action that was going on. And this has had some good action,
Done. Yeah.
Like, I did enjoy.
But every now and again, we get really stunted acting. We get really odd word choice, the delivery of lines. The story sometimes feels like, George Lucas snuck in and told them all what to say.
But at least with Lucas, you got a good outline of a story that was interesting.
Yeah.
This is lacking that.
Yeah.
And
it's lacking his imagination, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, in the difference of the storytelling, when they could have put the story in order, just imagine they could have been right now, episode 7, instead of the rewind that we had. We could have had, we were saying, that build up to the Sith. Who is this guy? Is he really a Sith, or is he just, what is he? And then you could have ended season 1 on a cliffhanger with this guy. Then you would have been, oh shit, I want to see season 2. But they just didn't do that.
Rather than me getting excited about what's happening, instead I'm more annoyed that you started to kind of give me something that I might potentially be interested in, just to be like, hold up, we know you want to see the twin kids again. And it's like, what?
Dave, is there a show or anything that you like that would always kind of end on a cliffhanger for a season?
Was it Smallville? Yeah, they did do that. Even in the first season, where it was just a tornado, still it was a cliffhanger. Come on,
wait, it was a tornado where Pa Kent told.
No, it wasn't that. No, the actual TV show writers were better than the Zack Snyder's version. I'm sorry.
No, they were. You're not wrong.
Clark, I just want you to know that you should save people. You have the ability to do that. Please save people. If I'm ever, for whatever reason, caught in a tornado, for the love of God, pull me out, man.
Yeah, show me what it's all about. No one's going to see anyway. You're going too fast.
It's sad that a movie writer didn't understand that his adoptive dad had to die by something that he couldn't have saved him from.
Right.
That is so basic. And I will never, Tundra Walker, every time we're arguing about something online, he always sends me the Kevin Costner doing this. And I'm just like, oh, that gets my goat, dude.
Speaking of Superman-related series that explored that idea better, sorry to tangent. but the Acolyte is kind of boring me. Um,
How dare you?
yeah, I know, right? But so not only does Smallville, a TV show do that better, but I'm gonna go within like the same vein as that a cartoon did it better than that as well. So when like we're talking about, you remember the Superman animated series, the Justice League animated series, they had a couple of episodes where they were exploring Clark going home, and it was just Ma Kent, and they had to explain, oh yeah, Pa passed away, and I think it was like cancer in the animated series that got him, and it was important they'd mention that because it was something that Clark couldn't do anything about, that Superman couldn't fix.
Yep. All these powers. You said it in Christopher Reeve said it. All these powers. I couldn't
Hmm.
even say. That's what makes Superman Superman.
Yeah.
And the writers of the movies just didn't get that.
But
Like, it's gonna be cool, man. He's got all these powers.
I was going to say, in about a year, we're hopefully going to see Superman done right.
Hopefully. I've got a lot of hope for James Gunn. I think he can do it right.
By the way, 2 weeks from tonight, guys,
Yeah.
Wolverine, Deadpool.
Oh, 2 weeks is still too far away.
Can I, while we're on tangent time, can I tell a humorous story that I saw on Twitter today?
Yes.
Yes, fellow human, you can tell a humorous story.
Yes, thank you. So heavy spoilers.
That was a good one.
Heavy spoilers. Who is a YouTube channel like us, much bigger than us. Really nice guy. Paul's a good dude. So he could have seen the first 40 minutes of Deadpool and Wolverine tonight,
Oh.
but he didn't go because there was a rumor that the Captain America Brave New World trailer was dropping today. So he didn't go because
And
he
it didn't
wanted to
drop.
break it down and get a video out, to make that money. 'Cause that's how
No
he
kidding.
lives. And it didn't drop. All of these scoopers who, Sunday night when I was talking to Doug, I told him, I said, there's a rumor that the Agatha trailer is going to drop tomorrow. And we're both like, yeah, we'll believe it if we see it. And it did drop. And then people were like, Thursday, we're getting the Captain America Brave New World. And I think everyone was like, they were right about Agatha, so this must be right. And it was funny because one of the scoopers, My Time to Shine Hello, was like about 1 hour, and we're getting it. And about 3 hours later, people must have been giving this Twitter, this X person, a bunch of crap because all of a sudden they're like, I don't really do trailer scoops. I was just taking it from what I heard from other people, other scoopers.
Oh.
And I'm like,
oh,
nice
convenient.
backpedal. But I felt bad for Paul because I read some of the people who did see the first 40 minutes of Deadpool and Wolverine in England today. And they were like, this is the best. If the rest of the movie lives up to what we saw in that 40 minutes, it's going to be the best Deadpool movie. And it is going to be the best thing since Endgame, basically.
See, I think I would have hated that, though. I would have hated only being able to see 40 minutes of a movie.
Yeah.
That, and like being told, well, now you got to wait 2 weeks to see the rest of it. And by the way, you got to start from the beginning now. And it's like, yeah, I don't know if I would have. I think I would have enjoyed maybe the party and, talking with people that had something to do with the creation. I would have enjoyed that aspect of it more than only being allowed to see 40 minutes.
And I will bet.
Now, did you say it's the best movie since Spider-Man?
No, since Endgame, they said. Not No
Ooh,
Way Home.
better than Spider-Man.
That's what they're saying. And of course, this is based on
Wow.
40 minutes. So my prediction for Deadpool
It's
and
going to be
Wolverine,
terrible.
No. At the 41st minute, there's going to be a huge spoiler reveal type thing. And that's why they only saw 40 minutes. It's like right after that, we were going to see Blake Lively as Lady Deadpool, or, we were going to get, what would be a huge spoiler for that?
Galactus.
Yeah, Galactus flying in.
Oh, we'll see a giant cloud form over Earth. And
Or it's when we see Daniel Radcliffe as Patch in Madripoor, or Henry Cavill as Old Man Logan or something. Yes, those are all the rumors of potential.
That would be
Wolverine
just
movies.
like Ryan Reynolds to do something like that. Right that next minute.
That's why I thought it was so odd that it was like, it wasn't 10 minutes, it was 40 minutes. And I'm like, there's probably an hour and a half left. I wonder why they cut it off at 40. Something big coming
Right.
at 41.
That's right when it picks up.
Yeah, but
Right. Owen Wilson shows up.
I'm still because I think the premiere is coming up here soon, so we'll get all of the, you know, people who it's the greatest thing.
Like the critic reviews and everything.
Yeah. We'll start getting those early impressions or whatever, and as we know, those aren't always the most accurate.
Mm-hmm.
They bring people who are going
Well,
to give positive, glowing reviews.
I do hope that it is good. And I hope you guys won't be upset, but I do want to buy a popcorn bucket.
Can you wait until after?
I don't
If I
think
have to.
No, buy it before.
That's confidence.
To break the curse?
To break the curse, it has to be broken.
I mean, you're gonna see it the next day again anyway.
If it's good. Okay.
Hold
I
on,
know
we
this
got.
is
Hold
going
on
to
a sec.
sound
We got.
really...
Hold on one sec. We got a
okay.
comment on YouTube. Red Melees. Can't even bring myself to watch another episode of The Acolyte and Rings of Power after any episode of House of the Dragon, particularly episode 4. Agreed. Episode 4.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. The Boys, episode 7 today. Phenomenal. And then
If
Henry
you're
Cavill.
not watching The Boys, you need to.
Henry Cavill will play Aegon the Conqueror, Vanessa, and Rhaenys. Yes, Henry Cavill can do all of that, 100%.
Yeah.
But
You know, I'm still catching up on Hot D.
we know that's your favorite
Now,
thing
how do you feel when you're looking at that Hot D?
Well, I mean, there's dragons.
Yeah.
You know how far behind I am, Doug? I mean, I watched
Did
5
you say you're
episodes
still on
last night.
season 1?
Season 1, episode 6.
Okay.
So you got
And it was just after the time jump where Rhaenyra had her baby.
Okay.
That's the episode I'm on. And I'm assuming it's babies, but they haven't shown it yet. Right?
Well, I won't spoil anything. You just enjoy it.
Well, I'm pretty sure something happened in the first or second episode of this season that will explain that.
You know what?
answer
You're
that
right.
question.
Things did happen in the episodes.
Yeah.
yes,
yeah.
every episode
You're-
had something happened. And this is a spoiler. I'm sorry I'm going to spoil it for you. It was interesting. And
Oh,
It was
made-
interesting. Something that we care about happens in the episodes, and it's interesting. Unlike something
Hopefully
else
we
that
can
we're
get into
talking
that later
about.
on tonight. Whew.
Oh, were you thinking about the Acolyte?
No, I wasn't. I had stopped thinking about the Acolyte. Thanks.
Oh, I figured that's what the yawn was.
I don't know where
Real
Sierra
quick
is.
before we go back into finishing up our discussion on the Acolyte, I do want to say I don't want to sound like a downer about Deadpool and Wolverine, but the way that everybody's talking about people who have seen clips of it or people that have I think there was like a leak a week ago or whatever. People are saying, "Oh my God, it's like the greatest thing ever." I am so afraid. I am so deadly afraid that this is another Madam Web situation or Morbius situation or something that what was the movie that Flash. James Gunn is talking about how amazing the Flash was. I'm so afraid that it's another one of those situations where everybody is really pumping it up, really praising it. Oh my God, it's the greatest thing you've ever seen. You've got to go see the movie, only for it to be lackluster. And I don't think a Deadpool movie would be, but I'm just so afraid that might happen the way that everybody is already singing its praises.
The only thing I will say that makes me feel different about Deadpool and Wolverine, we were hearing a lot about the Flash prior to people actually seeing it. Once those first impressions came out, it was like, okay, this doesn't sound great. They're like, Michael Keaton was good. And it's
Yeah.
like, wait, that's all you're going to say about it? It's like,
That's
okay,
it.
that's a little... Because I look
Well,
at this-
hold on. Did Ryan Reynolds start a cult?
Is it a cult of all of the people that love him and want to see him do
Well, did he go to
I
Iceland?
think that is a cult.
Did he take some people and go to Iceland against their will? Did he do that?
Did he break into a house in Hawaii and assault the people living there?
Twice.
But I compare more to like what we heard for Spider-Man No Way Home.
Okay.
Because, there was a lot of talk about it. Andrew Garfield, I'm not in that movie. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, a lot
And,
of hush hush whisper whisper.
But
Yeah.
when people started seeing it, everyone was like, okay, this is the best Spider-Man movie the MCU has produced and stuff. And as soon as the premiere hit and some of the, YouTubers and stuff started seeing it, they were all on board. And I was like, okay, and this sounds like this is what it's going to be. And not, the president of a studio saying, hey, this movie we're releasing this year is the greatest thing ever. Please go see it the first weekend because it's not going to have legs because this movie is terrible. I hope at least,
We sit down in the theater and it's like us and one other person.
And that guy loves it. He's just narrating along with it. Like the guy at Ghostbusters.
This is the part where the baby's in the microwaves. What?
Remember? That's the part where, he did the thing. Remember? Oh, yeah.
I can't believe the CGI of the baby in the microwave. It made me think that there was a real baby in there. It was so good.
It didn't look like a mannequin baby at all.
Yeah.
It didn't look like unfinished CG. What are you talking about?
No.
It didn't look like all the artists got sick of being poorly treated and got up and walked out.
And I, seeing like the way A-Train, they show his speed in The Boys and the way the Eternals did it with, oh my God, I can't even think of the speedster's name. Doesn't matter. They both did such a great job with showing like a super fast character. I will never miss the way they had the Quimir look alike. I can't think of his name. The dude who played the Flash, the cult leader.
Oh, Ezra Miller.
Ezra Miller. The way they had him run and the way they showed the Speed Force with him, I will never miss that. Oh, so bad.
Yeah.
You know who did
so much better?
You know who did a better version of that style of speedster running?
Was it Smallville, Keith? Smallville?
Well, Smallville was one, but I was thinking more along the lines of Days of Future Past.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know what? Was that the first time that they did that or the second time?
That was the first time.
The first time they did that, it was awesome.
Yes.
When they did it again for the second, for nostalgia, that didn't work, I thought. But yeah, it's still better than any Ezra Miller Flash running scene.
Yeah. Like I think the Flash was trying to copy that style, and it was more like they were sort of leaning over, like, "What are you writing down? Don't write down the same exact thing. Change a few of your answers."
Say it a little differently.
All right. Okay. So when I have him run, I'll put babies in a microwave. Whoa! What?
What?
Yeah, people love babies in microwaves. Let's see that.
No, but he'll save it. No.
Don't do it like that.
Okay, let's get back to the Acolyte.
Yeah, sorry. We totally it's just
Let's
oh my
think.
gosh, it's just so hard to talk about this sometimes, but let's get back to the Acolyte.
It's easy to get sidetracked on other things that are more interesting.
It is. Yeah, is it sad that the Flash failure was more interesting than these episodes?
It would be much more interesting if this was really terrible.
Yeah.
But
It's just so blah.
yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's unflavored oatmeal.
Delish.
Sweet unflavored oatmeal. Sweet gruel.
It's magically nutritious. Yay.
Is it though?
Should we give our rankings for this?
Yeah, I guess we might as well. Keith, do you want to go first?
Sure. Of these two episodes we got, Teach and Corrupt and Choice, the best part of it all was Quimir in the way he was behaving with Osha on the island, things of that nature. I thought that was rather interesting. I would like to see more of it. Of course, we're probably not. Because the opposite side of it, seeing Soul in May, who I've enjoyed Soul's character through this, nothing tremendously, but over some other characters, I was like, he's interesting, yada yada. Really did a disservice to his character. It almost seemed the way he was behaving was like sort of a bumbling, absent-minded professor than like this Jedi master, and it just seemed out of character to me. I didn't really appreciate it. And then we got Choice, which astounded me with things that they were doing, which was so uninteresting. Like I said earlier, seeing a Wookiee Jedi fight two other Jedi and it be that vanilla and that bland, I can't imagine. Like, it was so uninteresting to me. I don't understand it. I don't know how that could happen. And all of the storylines that they're choosing to go down and the way they're handling them is about as average as you can possibly be. They've really made choices that seems like it's like your first attempt at writing a screenplay. And it just, to me, it's like, once again, it's not bad, it's not good, it's like right there in the middle. And both of these episodes were that. I think 6 was a little better than 7, only because we did get to Quaimir.
I agree.
You know, the actor playing Quaimir, I think, is great. The way his fighting style was, from the episode when he was fighting all the Jedi to the way he was handling this person he wants to bring on as an acolyte. I thought it was well handled. Where this, you know, we all talked about it. Going back to the same time for another flashback, for another entire episode, with not providing anything of substance to make it interesting, was a terrible choice. So, if we're going to rank both episodes together, I'm going to give it a 4.5. Because episode 7 brings that down, where if it was just 6, well, if I was rating them separately, I would say 6 is probably about a 5. And I would say 7 is probably about a 3. They really shot themselves in the foot with how they handled this week's episode. I try to sometimes watch these episodes again just to try to get more out of it. I had no interest in watching this one again because I felt like I rewatched episode 3 or whatever it was with the first flashback, and just terrible handling of the way this is structured, the way this is handled, the way the characters interact, the way it's just, once again, they could have done so much better. They had a great premise and they have dropped the ball with the way they've handled it.
It had
and
potential.
It's disappointing, yeah. So I'm going to give it a 4.5 for both episodes.
Wow. You know, I'm a little surprised. You were a bit harder on it than I was planning on being. And I've been over here like talking crap about it this entire stream. But yeah, if you would have told me, you know, 3 or 4 years ago that we were going to see Jason from The Good Place walking out of a pond shirtless and, you know, looking ripped and shit, I would have been like, yeah, right, okay. And that'd be like the most interesting part of a Star Wars show. Like, yeah, it was, I don't want to beat a dead horse or, you know, keep repeating the same thing over and over, but like there are elements in the show that would have made it good. There are bits and pieces that you can see there is the opportunity for a good story. And I would love to see them tackle this time frame again, but maybe with a different direction, maybe different directors. I would love to see them take more advantage of more open spaces. I hate when these shows feel so constrained, and I think that was the biggest problem with the Wookiee fight, when you're telling this guy you can only move 2 feet to the left and 2 feet to the right, and like you're not creating the costume in a way that allows more fluid movement. It was like, on one hand, yeah, it looks good, it looks like a good Wookiee costume, but like when the lightsaber fight is and it's
Looks like me reeling it in.
It was painful.
Do not
to watch
insult
some of it.
you reeling it in, Dave. I will
Right.
not stand for that talk.
Sorry.
But a lot of it was it was either boring or it was just painful to watch. And like what Keith said a little bit ago, I found myself just like, huh? Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, that's still on.
Yeah. And it's like, and when it's over, it's like, okay, but now we've got one episode left, guys. We've got next week is the finale of the first season of The Acolyte. And I think the biggest mystery, the biggest unintentional mystery about the show is what are they even gonna do? Like, what have they been leading towards? Like, what's the point? What is the point? Because the way they've arranged the episodes thus far, it's been a mess. And I have struggled to care about any of the story really, other than like what Keith said, Wymere. He's been the most interesting character. Pretty good acting. Had me fooled at first. I will admit that. Had me fooled at first when he was first on screen, thinking, oh, okay, he's, this secretive like dude who's kind of helping out. But then the minute, he had his confrontation with the other Jedi, it's like, oh, okay, well, he's clearly the big bad. But other than that, I mean, it's been interesting, and I would say that, like you, I would rate um, episode 6.
6, yeah, was the first one.
So
Yeah, I would rate episode 6 a little bit higher than 7, just because whether it was intentional or not, it was doing something more with the short amount of time that they had, or that they forced themselves into. I think they could have made a longer
forced.
episode.
He said forced.
Yeah. But the fact that they were showing this, they were showing this swapping of places where the maybe a Sith, maybe a Knight of Ren, whatever the hell he's going to turn out to be, um, where he was very calm, just kind of doing his own thing. He wasn't forcing Osha to stay there. He was like, "Hey, there's my ship. If you want to take it, you better get going before the tide rises." Didn't stop her from taking his lightsaber. Like he knew that she was there. He wasn't going to stop her. And he's like, "Hey, you want some food?" Like, look, I don't care what you do. You can stay, you can go, and whatever. Go ahead and put my helmet on. I'll even tell you what it does and how it works. And I think that was the most interesting thing. I was actually, if we were going to rate these separate, I was willing, and I know this sounds weird, but for this show, I was willing to give this anywhere from a 5.5 to a 6, just because based on every other episode we've seen, I think this was the most interesting, seeing the quote unquote bad guy acting decent and then the supposed good guy stunning and tying up May. And it was like such a weird swap that I was like, okay, I don't know if they meant for it to work out this way, but this was an interesting changing of characterizations. But altogether, I will give these two episodes together. I struggle between 4.5. 4.5, just because the next episode after was such whiplash, such tonal whiplash, going back in time to do yet another full flashback episode, which was unnecessary, showing us stuff that we've really already seen. And the fact that the most interesting aspect of that episode was the fact that we got kind of shades of Anakin, because I kept getting those vibes from Torben every time, like he was, some of the faces that he would make. I'm like, I think that's on purpose. I think they're doing that on purpose. I could be giving the show too much credit, but it seemed like that's what they were going for, and that was, I think, the most, in my opinion, the most interesting part of this episode. Everything else was boring, and I agree with Keith. It was, if I was to rate that one on its own, it's probably about a 3. I don't know. It was dumb. So, Dave.
Yes.
Your turn.
Well, you guys both rated it a 4.5. I guess if I'm
Was
only
that too
doing
nice?
these two what's that?
Was that too nice?
I think you guys are being too nice, yes. But I always do. So if I'm only going with these two episodes, see, I got thoughts about like how the entire series could have played out and made it so much better and told the same story
Oh,
and still
easily.
made it better. Yeah. I did like episode 6 a lot better, just for the same reasons you guys did. Quimir is the show right now. Any mystery surrounding him is the entire show. And when they expanded on it and they reversed the roles and he wasn't worried. I think he also wasn't worried because he knew if anything happened, he was going to be able to take her. He wasn't just like being nice. He was like, if she tries something, I got it. So I'm going to just let her know, like, this way that I'm doing it, it's freedom. You can do what you want, and whether I like it or not, where any Jedi likes it or not, you can do whatever you want and you have power. So this is my way. This is how I'm showing you. It's just so easy. Just let go, So that episode, I'm going to rate higher. I think I'll give that one a 4.5. But this last episode, the complete flashback, which was unnecessary. They just should have made it part of the other episode from earlier in the season. They should have just done it all at once, or not even done it at all, because they didn't add anything to it. And so, you guys have been giving it, you both gave it a 3. I think I'm going to give it a 3 as well. I was not enamored. I'm not really. I don't know to look forward to in the next episode. I don't know what the big finale is going to be. Like you said, what are we waiting for? Are we going to find out who is, and do we really care at this point who is training Quimir?
I'm hoping that's what we get. If we get that, I'll be a little happier than if it's something along the lines of the twins were, what did they say? It was a single consciousness split into two bodies. Yeah. One's evil, one's good. Oh, but Osha's the bad one. May's the really good one. Yeah, I'll be like, right. What a waste of 8 episodes. Why did you do this to me?
Right. And did you see the mark on his back when he was walking around shirtless? And he had
the
a little
scars.
S mark on his back.
It looked like a whip, a lightsaber whip. I'm sure that's what they're going for.
Yep, that's exactly
super on the nose.
They're walking you right into it again.
Yep.
Like here it is, a color with.
That's why I didn't even bother to bring it up because it's too obvious.
Last week we talked about. I think we were just kind of talking about it after we did the stream, and I'm like, Vanestra was totally his master.
Yeah.
And I mean, they've done such a ham-fisting of revealing it that it's not going to shock anybody, and that's unfortunate because it could have been a cool twist if they played it right, but no, they didn't. 'Tis the surprise of no one. Yeah. You know what the best thing about the Acolyte is? This is like
when it's over?
No. This is like the perfect fit for our Back to the Editing Room series. They did it just so we could break it down how it should have went and been much better. I can't imagine how they wrote it so perfectly to fit into this, unless they were like, you know what, we like those not your status quo guys. We need to give them some video ideas. So let's make this a perfect fit for their series. The often imitated, never duplicated Back to the Editing Room series.
Watch our one episode of that.
our one episode where we forgot to communicate with each other beforehand and didn't exactly know the way in which we were going to go about it. Also, I don't think you were able to watch the movie beforehand because your internet was messing up.
That was Wonder Woman, right?
No, that was we did
Batman v Superman.
Batman v Superman.
Oh yeah, I didn't see that until I saw it on a plane. So yeah. Yes, sir. But I guess overall, those last two, I'm gonna give them a 4.
Okay.
So there, I give one 4.5, one a 3, and then overall 4.
Okay.
It's just it doesn't even meet the mediocre standard yet.
No. And this most recent episode really brought it down. It was a waste of time, really.
That's being nice.
Yeah. We have a lot going on, And for us to have to sit there and I say have to because I don't think we would really be still watching this show if we weren't doing it for the channel.
I wouldn't.
But
I
for us to take time out and sit there and watch this show and this episode be as pointless as it was.
I would probably still watch it, but I would probably wait till it's done.
Yeah, yeah, binge it
So I
like
could
all at
binge
once.
it.
That way, like when it starts, like, oh, another flashback, skip to the next one.
Yeah, another flashback.
I'm not
I'm
missing
gonna go
anything.
make a sandwich for a few minutes. I'll be back.
I don't have to remember any of this. It's not like I'm reviewing it for anything.
And I only hope, because I got a
do
feeling
hope.
that the Skeleton
I got a
Crew series
feeling.
is supposed to be coming out around December. So I'm wondering if we're going to get some footage of this at D23 or San Diego Comic-Con. And I pray it looks better than what we got for this, because I mean, I'm not going to say Star Wars is dead, because it isn't.
No,
it
no,
can
no, no.
survive bad shows. It can do that without an issue.
This is one
But-
show out of a bunch of movies and other shows.
Yeah, yeah. I just want people to be excited about Star Wars.
Yeah.
And I think if we get some cool looking footage for this and it looks interesting, it'll get some hype going again, because this is, Star Wars discourse on the internet right now is everyone saying it's either the greatest thing Star Wars has ever done or it is the
And it's
worst
not.
thing that Star Wars has ever done.
And it's not.
That is even boring to me. These people, like, instead of talking about anything interesting, it's like, if you don't think this is the best Star Wars ever, you're this. And if you think this is good at all, you're this. And I'm just like, oh my
They're
God.
over politicizing it.
Yeah. And I just don't get it. It's neither of those things. If you honestly think this is the best Star Wars has ever done, that's fine. This is all subjective. But I find it very hard to believe with, the Mandalorian, the rise of the Skywalker. We got all of this.
Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
God,
Well,
I'm so glad I stay off Twitter.
even with Obi-Wan, that last episode was great. I really enjoyed it. There was other things about it that made it interesting.
It was,
seeing
yeah,
Obi-Wan
that
kind of get his groove. Obi-Wan gets his groove back throughout it. At least they did, and we got great acting out of Ewan McGregor. Where
Mm-hmm.
this,
It was nice getting Hayden Christensen back and having hear from him saying, yeah, I heard everybody telling me that the version of Anakin in the Clone Wars was so good, so I watched all of it.
That fight scene was really great. I don't know if the whole episode was, but that was the whole lightsaber duel with Obi-Wan and Darth again. That was pretty cool.
yes, it was.
I mean, but Reva, she lived through it all. After being
Oh
stabbed
yeah,
by
I kind of
Vader.
forgot that whole weird chase thing happened on Tatooine. That was dumb.
She got stabbed 3 times by Vader.
If
Come on.
she would have been becoming smoke when Vader stabbed her, she would have died.
Then she would have died. Yeah, Keith is
Yeah,
right.
that'd have been it.
Yeah.
Well, I think we've spent enough time on the Acolyte. Are you guys
Way
ready
too much.
for some hot D?
Oh man, put that hot D in my face.
Oh boy.
House of the Dragon, Season 2, Episode 4, The Red Dragon and the Gold. Now,
Wow. Wow, 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 wow.
Well, now I haven't seen it. Let's see where Sierra is.
Yep, see if she's ready. We can give her a minute to see if she wants to join us, but I really enjoyed this episode. I've enjoyed this entire season
When
so
you
far.
finally get caught up, holy shit, dude. I almost feel bad that we're probably going to be spoiling it for you tonight.
Me too. Because even Tundra
I got her
Walker,
on speaker.
yep, even Tundra Walker, who has been calling this the nap of the dragon for the first 3 episodes, really enjoyed this episode. And I was like, no, I get it. You're wrong about the first 3, dude. But this one was fantastic.
It was nuts. And talk about, having good twists in a show and having excellent acting, making use of your open wide shots. I mean, my gosh, like when I looked up and I saw the budget for the Acolyte, and then I saw the budget for House of the Dragon, and that they were essentially like identical, it's like, what the hell are they doing with their money, man? Like, how on one hand do you get like, okay, so what's even better about House of the Dragon, I mentioned this I think last season, maybe when we were reviewing this one, I went back and I started watching episodes of um Game of Thrones. And you can tell that there was a budget increase and that they're making better use of it because there are quite a few scenes in Game of Thrones where it looks a little cheap. It looks like it could have used a little work, almost like they weren't quite sure if the show was gonna make it. Like in the first season, like the Iron Throne in Game of Thrones is kind of pathetic looking compared to what it looks like in House of the Dragon. And the jousting scene when King Baratheon wants to, welcome his new hand. That whole thing looked very cheaply done compared to like some of the shots that we're getting in this. And again, like trying to compare the scenery, just the shots that they're doing in this. Like, the flying at the end of this episode. I don't want to give away too much before Sierra gets in here, but the flying that we saw at the end of this episode, the castle, as you know, you've got all these people shooting arrows and everything, like everything that was taking place, the armies on the ground, just the way that they're maneuvering all of these actors, background actors, and the way they're using the cameras is leagues better than what they're doing in the Acolyte. And like you can't even call it apples to oranges. It's like apples to a rotten cantaloupe that you found in a sewer.
Or
That's harsh, man.
runts. It's apples to a banana runt.
Yeah. It's like
But even
Runts, that's a great candy. It tastes wonderful. I love it.
Blink,
he's a
blink.
scroll.
blink blink. Yeah, that's right. But even the subtlety that they display in this show sometimes, like when the Maester brought in the morning after potion for Alicent,
Yeah.
and he knew what it was for, and she's still trying to play it off like, oh, blah,
They
blah,
all
blah.
do.
But when Laris came in and like
And he
looked
looked
down
down at it.
and she saw him looking at it, and it was like,
Why the fuck did she leave it on the table?
I don't know. I don't know. It was probably like an afterthought, but I was like, now that is way to set up things down the line. We don't know what happens, but when the Master of Whispers sees you with a morning after potion and knows that, Kristen Cole, because he was even, digging to see, because he knows, everyone knows in the castle that Kristen Cole visits her room at night, and
Yeah. That's again, it's not a secret. Like
For-
everybody like pretends, like for political reasons, that they don't know what's happening,
Oh.
but everyone knows. Huh?
did he freeze? Oh no, his fan's moving.
Did you get a hold of her, Dave? Oh.
Oh, he must have muted. Okay, I was like, why can't we hear him?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he did. That makes sense. Okay.
Mm.
We'll give him 1 minute. So,
So should we just go ahead and like start talking about the episode? I'm sure
yeah.
somebody will join us in a minute. So right away we get into a lot of the aftermath of what's already happened. Like on one hand, we've got Rhaenyra, who is, in the previous episode was attempting one more time to solve this amicably, to try and create peace. I don't know what she thought she was going to get out of it, if she thought that Alicent and company was just going to hand her the throne, or what she was hoping was going to happen. But obviously, at this point, even after Alicent found out that, oh no, you misunderstood. These were the mutterings, ramblings of a dying man, and this is a story that's passed down from king to heir. It's the story of a Song of Ice and Fire. And even after Allison heard that, well, whatever, it's beyond that. It's like she doesn't even, where she used to care, where she used to like actually give a shit about, like, oh my gosh, yes, the king said that he wants Aemond on the throne. Now we see her after, when the Master of Whispers comes in and he's asking about like, this and that, she kind of like offhandedly mentions, well, it doesn't really matter, does it?
Yep.
What he would have wanted, what he said.
And honestly, it makes sense because what's done is done. You're not going to be able to rewind, the usurping and all that other. I had to get that word in one more time. So it's
usurp. We all go to the coast and we surf.
Yep. And just it doesn't matter because it doesn't matter. So it's all
Sierra's on.
Good in the hood.
Sierra's on.
Yeah, we know. We can't hear her yet though.
Well, you told me to let you know.
Well,
you did say
I saw her
know.
come on. I was when you started talking
letting
to her.
You know.
We can't hear you. Oh, Keith went away. You got to plug in your mic, Sierra. Well, okay.
So please wait 1 minute, everybody out there in Twitch and YouTube land. Sierra will fix her technical difficulties, and we'll continue our discussion of Hot D.
It's funny that you guys were talking about the morning after potion because I just recently saw that episode. Yeah, I did.
Yeah, me too.
I'm like a seahorse. I carry the babies.
What's up? Sorry.
No, it's
What's
all
up,
good.
You all can get as deep into it, and I'll just interject when I can.
Welcome
Sorry,
to Not Your
so
Status
long.
Quo.
I was in the zone. I was painting. You see some red paint on my fingers. But where do we leave off? What am I missing?
Well, we were just talking about the the beginning of the episode with the morning after potion and Laris coming in and seeing it and his questioning about, oh, are you going to miss Kristen Cole while he's off doing this and trying to get him? She's well versed enough as a queen to not pay that any mind or anything.
Yeah, that's kind of childish of him at this point to try to make her stumble. That's kind of childish. She knows the game. She plays the game at this point.
The Game of Thrones.
I mean, pretty much. Shit, yeah. Sorry.
Well, still a family show. Jeez.
Whoa, potty mouth. Put her in jail.
I'm used. My friends and I, we talk, and I'm just used to that.
Your mom with that mouth.
Sierra,
Sometimes.
let me just tell you something that my mother told me when I was young, and I thought it was cool to swear. Wherever ignorance abounds, vulgarity will invariably assert itself.
I'll go with that. You call me
Way
dumb.
too big of words.
Nothing else to
No,
say,
ignorance is
you're just
not
gonna
being
start
dumb.
swearing.
Ignorance
no.
is just,
Lack of knowing.
Lack
lack
of
of
knowledge.
knowledge.
Yeah.
Like I'm
But
ignorant
then,
on rap
devil's-
battles.
Devil's advocate, I would say that there are studies that people with higher IQs do tend to cuss more. Just
I have seen those studies, yes.
yeah.
And I do cuss all the
I
time.
have performed
But
those
no,
studies. I was
I-
a scientist.
I do need to. I'll calm it down for the show. I'm sorry.
F everybody here. Wait, I didn't actually say it, so that doesn't make me smarter.
The other thing that we mentioned, Sierra, was the idea that in the previous couple of episodes, like towards the end of the last season and in these the first 3 episodes, it seemed like Alicent was, she really did seem to care about what the king had said on his deathbed, like that it held some kind of importance to her, the fact that she thought he had chosen Aegon to be the heir. When in fact, then once she finds out after the fact that, and I love the way that Rhaenyra says, like, wait, you mean the Song of Ice and Fire? What? No, that's a bunch of bullshit, dude. And it's like, and then it's like, even after realizing that it was the ramblings of a dying man, like just his last words as his brain was shutting off, like now she's finally come to the conclusion, well, I guess I don't really care whether he wanted Aegon to be his heir or not, because he's the king, and that's that. And she mentions that to the Master of Whispers.
I think she's just at this point where she's realizing I was wrong. She really thought she was right. And she's
She
like,
may be, but I don't think she
wrong.
cares.
No, yeah, no, she cares. She just doesn't want to. It's too late. She knows she did this. She started this war. She did it, and she just like, well, I'm made my decision. I'm gonna stick by it, and nobody else is gonna know that I was wrong, except for me and Rhaenyra. That's it, and that kind of proves to you what kind of character Alicent is, but also. This isn't a spoiler. In the books, Alicent was a lot worse. Like, she was worse than Cersei.
Oh, really?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so she has never been a good character. She is all about, like,
manipulating and everything.
Her line on the throne. That is all she's about. She's worse than Cersei. Yeah.
It seems like in the show that she's less concerned with keeping her line on the throne and more concerned about just keeping her family alive. And that she thinks the throne is the key to doing that.
I don't know. She didn't really care. She didn't really care when her grandson died. She mostly cared about Helena seeing her and Kristen Cole going to bed together.
Yeah, that's true.
She didn't care. She cares about being on the throne and who, like, her line being on the throne. She cares about where her status is.
She cares about her image.
Yeah. At least in my perspective, that's what I'm getting from her. And
I don't like her.
No, you don't. You don't.
Dave,
nobody does.
You are not going to like probably all of the characters on that show. And that's
almost none of the characters are likable.
It's not fair because I like Tyrion the whole way through.
Well, Tyrion isn't in the show.
Well, Tyrion isn't exactly a good person either. So.
Well, we don't have a Tyrion on this show. We have a bunch of jackwagons.
But that's what I kind of like about it. Like, think about, now you didn't see this, Dave, but Daemon in Harrenhal dealing with his own thoughts.
The ghosts?
Well, the ghost, but it's basically him, like, I should be king. And he's dealing with that issue that he is, basically the king consort or whatever you want to call it. And it's starting to bubble to the surface.
I like how petty he was when he told them they had to refer to him as Your Grace. Well, I thought, with all due respect, I thought with you being the king consort. Well, you thought wrong.
And the one, he's like, the Grace, Your Grace. I was like, oh, that's great.
Yeah, I think I always knew. I mean, if you couldn't see that coming since the beginning, then I don't know what to tell you. Because honestly, even in the first season, he loved his first wife, Lyanna, I feel like, more than Rhaenyra.
Oh yeah,
and I think
Rhaenyra's a tool for him.
Yeah, but I mean, he might have love for her, but he's not in love with her like he was with Lyanna. And I really like Lyanna. She was a good character. It's a shame what happened. I think that they worked out better than, him and Rhaenyra personally. I think Rhaenyra was right to call him out on his crap,
But that's what this show does well. You see it coming because they've set it up well and it's still well executed. It doesn't have to be a big shock. It's still well played out. You see these feelings bubbling to the surface, and him, being in this dilapidated castle, and him thinking, "This is not where I belong. I belong on the Iron Throne, and I can't believe how have I gotten here." I was never a Matt Smith fan until he played the role of Daemon. I think he's killing it. I really enjoyed those scenes. The whole
you loved him in Morbius, you know it.
I forgot he was in Morbius.
You loved Morbius.
We'll just go back and check our scores on the At the Theater review.
I think I mentioned Matt Smith in all of my reviews for Morbius. He was incredible. That dance scene was second to none.
Oh my God.
That dance scene beat out the dance battle from Legion. It's the only scene in cinema that beats that one out.
But what are we thinking so far though? Where do you think this? How do you feel about Rhaenys?
Oh,
know,
dude. Oh, rest in peace,
Yeah.
literally.
She was one of my all-time favorite characters.
Yeah.
Dad, if you don't like any of the characters, you'll like Rhaenys. She's wise, you know, she's been through it, and she's also empathetic. And
she also kind of felt that she should have been on the throne too, I think.
well, she
Well,
talked
yeah,
in
but she
season 1
wasn't-
about how she should have been the heir,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and they would have
She
nothing to
wasn't-
do with it.
she wasn't vindictive about it, you know, like how these men have been. She wasn't like, I'm gonna kill someone to get there. She's like, well, that's not my status. That's just
Yes.
not what it is.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
Now let
And
me ask
so
you a question. When she, I could be way off on this. I didn't read the books. The guy who saved her husband's life, is that his bastard child?
Yes.
Okay.
I think they imply
That's
that
pretty
because
much.
They
yeah.
did, and I wasn't sure. I was like, okay, am I just imagining that? Like, I didn't think it so much when he first started doing it with him and his brother talking. I was like, okay, something's going on here. But the way she approached him and talked to him and then talked to her,
when she was
like,
talking about his looks.
yes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, that's his
Mhm.
bastard
Well, no-
son. And she didn't seem to fit her character. She wasn't upset. She wasn't like, I can't believe you did this to me. She was almost like, he's a stepson to me or something. And that's how she is. You know, she's, you know, her honor, her, you know, where she feels she's been slighted, she hasn't let that sour her on anything. And so
Now I wonder, is
Yeah.
her character the same way in the books, or is she more along the lines of Ned Stark's wife?
No, she's around the same. She's
Okay.
around the same. She's not. No, she doesn't hate him. Pretty much same interaction. She's like, your mother must have been beautiful for. Basically, she said your mother must have been beautiful for Corlys to have another baby. know. That's pretty much what she said. And you know, I think the way she handled that is just the way she handles her grief and everything, the trauma she carries with her is just kind of graceful, and she uses it to her advantage rather than like spite, you know, and rather than anger. She's like, this just isn't what I'm supposed to do, or this isn't what I'm meant to have. And then she just kind of like uses it as her teachings, whereas like how she's like teaching Rhaenyra or helping Rhaenyra through, but she still has her own motives. Don't get me wrong, she still has her own
Oh yeah,
motives,
of
but
course.
yeah, she's just a good, she's awesome. She's my favorite character on the show. So for that to happen, I was like, I don't know, when I was watching it, the looks that Meleese and Rhaenys were having back and forth, I was like, oh, she knew when she said she was gonna go off to battle that she was gonna die. She knew then, she knows now. And I'm like, she just wanted to die with her girl, because she could have tried to, you know, jump off and, you know, whatever, skew the, you know, the impact somehow. She could have, not that it would have mattered. You get what I'm saying?
The minute they suggested that Captain Eye Patch should head towards, you know, that area to help out, I'm like, oh, she's gonna die, isn't she? Like,
she
this
knew
is
it was
not
a
gonna go
trap
well for
too.
anybody.
Yeah,
But
she
Yeah.
did.
the good part about this was I loved when
Was she weird?
Aemon let Aegon know, yeah, we've been planning this behind your back, and here's why it's a better
Yeah.
plan. You just don't get it. It was almost like, I'm gonna goad you into coming with this, or I'm showing you why I am.
Oh,
more
you know that
regal
was his
and-
plan.
Oh yeah. And
Yeah.
I was like, just watching this whole episode, I'm like, yes, more of this, please. This is awesome. I love this show.
I mean, when it was Aegon, when Aegon was on the ground, you know, before Kristen Cole got there, you knew
Oh,
exactly.
he was going to skewer that barbecue.
It wasn't even like you could even take like a talon from like a dragon and just do it real quick. Just chop off a talon and do it and be like, "Oop, that's what happened." Because
I almost feel like he wanted to be seen now.
You know, no, nope. That's why if he wanted to be seen, he would have did it when Kristen Cole walked up. That he stopped. He put it away. He was like,
and he
nope.
looked like he was
Walked away.
disappointed. He was like, here's my coronation.
Right.
Yeah. I think he's a good character too. I think he's a villain that I
Yes.
could like. Because it's not, he was raised into that and he just is who he is. This is just the path that he's on, you know? It's
Mhm.
really, at the end of the day, it's Allison's fault. It's Allison and Otto's fault. They're
Oh, yeah.
the real
Yep.
villains.
And
I don't like her.
I do like Amon too as a character. You know, he got his eye taken out.
Yeah.
He's, you
Mhm.
know, he wasn't the heir and all these things. And he's a very, you know, they've made him a deeper character than his brother, you know, dealing with, you know, the first, you know, horror he sat with, things of that nature, really humanizes him. So it's nice to see, you know,
He's
this,
almost like a reflection of I. Oh my gosh, he's almost a
Fair.
reflection of Matt Smith's character. And I think that's why we see that in Harrenhal as like one of the ghosts.
yep.
Yeah. Because he could really, I could see how he'd see himself in Aemon. I really want them to go head to head, actually. I think that would be an interesting, very interesting fight. And I was almost hoping that it was Aemon actually at Harrenhal. I knew it wasn't, but I was like, that'd be really cool. I want to see that. It just, yeah. But with
I just
But
feel like
his-
I could see the two of them hanging out.
yeah.
Oh, Dave,
Yes.
you raised your hand. Yes. Can we help you?
No, I'm hitting wrong buttons here. Keep going.
Well, and the first thing I thought too at the end of this episode was, as soon as the Raven gets to Harrenhal, Damon, who is not the coolest of heads when things like this happen, he might fly off
Really?
the handle, and we may see Aemon versus Damon sooner than we thought. Because if he starts flying towards King Landing with his dragon, Aemon's getting a call.
He's a hothead, but he's also strategic. You know, I don't think he would do that. I don't
Well,
think he would go.
The way they portrayed him with the Crab King was to, you know what, I got to bring him out, so I'm just going to march right in by myself and let myself be open, and that could be the same plan because it worked there. He may have that same plan with his dragon going into King's Landing to try to draw Aemon and his dragon out. Now
I
they
could
might
see
not.
that.
Yeah.
I could see that. I just don't, because it's a bigger. This is a bigger thing. This is bigger, you know, meaning than killing. You know, a war that the entire realm's against. You know, like this
Mhm.
is. This is the throne. This is within your own home. This is also you can't just go in there when, you know, he like the Crab King, yeah, but he had an army and they were all occupied. Nobody was guarding the Crab King. Everyone's guarding the castle, the crown, and everything in between, you know. So he wouldn't, I don't see him being that kind of, you know, brutish about it. I see him more like he would be a little more sneaky. If anything, he'd catch him in his sleep. I don't think he actually wants to fight Aemon, though. I think part of him is actually scared of Aemon, because if he wasn't, then he would have found his way into the castle and done it himself when he went to go, you know, when he sent somebody to kill him. He could have just,
I don't think.
No,
I
dyed
don't
his
think
hair.
Damon. I don't think Damon is scared of Aemon. I think he's scared of Vagar.
I mean, who's not
Yeah.
scared of Vagar? That's
Yeah.
a pretty big dragon, you know.
Big ass
They-
dragon.
They did a great job with showing how big that monster is
Yeah.
and what it can do.
And I love that Aemon speaks to him in Old Valyrian.
Well, they all
That's-
do.
No.
Guys,
Oh my gosh, I keep like merging all of their names together. Agar doesn't speak to Sunfire. He speaks to him in the you know, the Crown's English or whatever the hell they call it, common tongue.
Mm.
Like I think he'll use the word Dracarys, but that's like I think the only word he knows, as demonstrated by the High Council meeting where you know, they were speaking Valerian. His brother was speaking Valerian to him, and he's like butchering it. I can has war.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's not. But
Mm-hmm.
you know, speaking of Dracarys, when Meleys has Sunfire basically about to take him out and kill him, and Aegon shows up and he's like Dracarys and just flames his brother too. That's when I was
He
like,
knew, he
I
knew
was
what
like,
he was doing.
yeah, I'm like, okay. He's trying to take his brother out too. And I kept thinking
Yeah.
back, okay, did he tempt him to come out with his dragon because he was going to do this and he knew it was his best chance? Or
I
was
think
this
that's
just a
exactly-
surprise to him? Like, okay, now's my chance and I'm going to take it. I
Now,
was like,
was this in the book?
I don't know. I haven't read that.
Yeah. Yes.
Wow.
Sierra's the book reader.
That's why I was asking. Because
It's not so
it
much
seems...
that I read the book. I can't say that I read the book page for page or anything, but I can say, like, from what I did find, I know things about the book. I can't say I read page for page. I can say I read certain chapters. I could say that I know what happened in the book, but I can't say I read.
Liar!
Poser. I'll be a poser. But yeah, no, this does happen in the book. It does happen. And you know, Eamon's character's pretty much where he's at in the book too. I think the people who aren't is really just Alicent and how evil she is and how evil she actually is. They try to make her look like she's still got that innocence in the show, or she's like, you know, still a victim of men, you know, growing into her own. But in the book, she's a lot more like, play with me if you want to, you know. She was a lot worse.
Makes me want to read the book now. I still want to wait till
I
this
think-
is over, but I'm going to
Yeah,
read it at
same.
some point. I just can't decide if I'm going to read it after this season is over or if I'm going to wait till House of the Dragon is over.
Oh, also, there's another thing in the book where Rhaenyra didn't care about peace as much as she was ready for war too. She was pretty mad. She didn't care about the peace as much. She was ruled by her own emotions as well.
I
But,
think
like,
I am glad
it's
that the
Rhaenyra.
show then is going in this direction. I think it adds more dimension to the characters.
Yeah, I think so too. I agree. And I think aren't the authors involved in this one too anyway?
Yeah,
Yes.
George R. R. Martin he's
Yeah.
more heavily involved. I feel like because of what happened in the last couple of seasons of Game of Thrones.
Yeah. So it makes sense that it's probably he's like, maybe we could change this character this way. You know, I understand. Yeah. Like the book
Maybe in
still
retrospect,
stands.
he's looking at it like, you know, after it having been several years, I probably
Yeah.
would have done this with the character instead.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
which makes the show even better, honestly.
I brought this up in some of our other, House of the Dragon discussions, but one of my favorite interviews with George R. R. Martin was between him and Stephen King. And they are two completely different types of writers in like just not only their style, but in the way that they treat writing. George is very meticulous. He takes a lot of time. He tries to think everything through, way too much so to the point where he I think he's letting a lot of it get to him as far as like but both of these authors have written, I don't know how familiar you are with the Dark Tower series, but Stephen King also wrote a long several volume, book fantasy epic series that took, place over the course of many years. But the reason why I bring this up is one of the key differences is that Stephen King, after he had written some of those books, realized later on, actually, I think I could have done this a little bit different, or I kind of want to tweak this. And if you ever come across an original copy of The Gunslinger, at first edition,
Yeah.
the ending and parts of the middle are totally different from the latest version of it, because he went back and he rewrote the main
George
character
Lucas did?
Poland. What? No,
He
Stephen
George
King.
Lucas did?
Oh yeah. He George Lucased it. Yes, he went back and he rewrote it because he felt that it made more sense in the long run of the story. He realized, you know what? It's been about 10 years. I don't really like the direction that I took. This character doesn't make sense in the overall story. Let me fix this. And so he republished the story, rewrote the character in a way that made more sense for the direction that the story was going.
Was it better?
And I
Did
don't
you
fault
read
him
both
for it. I
versions?
think that's a...
Is it better?
Yes. For the purposes of, the entire saga, yes, it is much better. And in fact, he even, about 2 years ago, he wrote some additional prequel books to expand on this character even more. and I have not read those yet, but I do hear they're very good.
See, I always liked Stephen King novels. He does such a great job with his characters. You know, they are deep. They have feelings. They, act out. They do things, and it's always been good. And George R. R. Martin is always the same way. You know, he was great with his characters, and unlike the final season of Game of Thrones, where they do things that make no sense, his characters never do.
That wasn't George, though. Yeah.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. That would have never been what he did.
No.
Because his characters have a long progression. If they're
and I
changing,
imagine,
it's a slow change, and you see it.
Yes. Yes, it isn't rushed in 2 episodes. I imagine that's why George is more heavily involved in House of the Dragon.
I'm sure HBO came out and said, listen, no one cares if you ever write Winds of Winter, which is a lie, HBO. We want it. But
we want it.
Here's a boatload of money. We want you to work directly with the showrunners to make sure this is high quality. And so far,
this is not going to happen again, George.
Yeah, you did.
All they really need to do is just redo the end of Game of Thrones. Just that last entire season. I said it once, I said it again. And I'll be happy. And then they can keep on moving on with everything else they got going on.
I don't think anyone would be upset with that.
I think that's the only thing that I tend to care about at this point, because of what they keep talking about it in House of the Dragon, how they keep leading up to it, and just they're making it anticipated almost, but it's also it's not hitting because we all know, they could have made it bigger. That's all I'm saying.
Well,
Sorry.
I will say that is something that could very well be possible, maybe if there was enough, fan outcry for it.
The actors even
Dave, remind me which streaming service re-released a version of Justice League?
That would be Netflix.
That'd be Max.
That would be Max. And remind me again, which streaming service carries Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon?
That would be Max.
That would be Max. Yeah, indeed. Yeah, it would be. So if they're willing to throw some kerosene on the dumpster fire that is the Snyder Cut and, throw that out into the wilds, what it really is stopping them from, just maybe bringing some of the... Because even the actors were very disappointed with how it ended. All of them, the vast majority of them were very disappointed. And you can see it in the interview. Best season ever! So
what you're saying is we need to start a social media campaign to re-release the final season of Game of Thrones. I like it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Release the George cut.
Yes. Honestly,
call it the kid cut, because they were going to do a Jon Snow series, and he didn't like the ending so much, he opted out.
I don't think they need a Jon Snow series because Jon Snow was supposed to be the king. And that's what he meant. They said, bro.
Was he the prince that was promised?
Yes.
He was.
Yes.
His name is not Jon Snow. It's something I can't remember.
It's Aegon Targaryen.
Yes. Thank you. It is Aegon Targaryen.
They're talking about it in this series right now.
Did you just call me bro?
Yes, bro.
You sound like my kids.
Make you feel good.
Well, you're right. And speaking of the prince that was promised and how they're playing it off, considering it was, the king's final thought as his brain was dying, as Doug put it so eloquently, he firmly believed it. And he was like, this is very important. This is something that we need to plan for. Where we see now everyone else is kind of like, some story he told. And I like that, they're really doing a good job of, once again, this story was lost by the time we get to Game of Thrones. They don't know about A Song of Ice and Fire. They don't know about A Prince That Was Promised. They don't know about the Long Winter and stuff. They have rumors about it, but the king doesn't know the story. And I like the way they're just kind of sprinkling it in there. Like, this is why it was lost. They're not like nudging you while they do it. They're not overdoing it. But they're sprinkling it in enough and letting us know why it was lost. And once again, I appreciate that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But you know what I appreciate more?
Mm.
when the dragon fell into the castle,
Yeah.
which was extremely sad scene because I think nobody really wanted to see that. Which always makes, when a writer is willing to kill a character that is beloved, to
Oh, we
forward
got
the
a
story.
Gilbert Godfrey.
When a character is killed like that, let me hit the 5 minutes for you. It just makes it so much better. Because no one wanted to see it. No one wanted to see that poor dragon get its head chopped off by that monster that Aemon was riding. But the way they filmed it and showed Kristen Cole finally realized how terrible combat is, especially when dragons are involved. We've heard it all season. A war with dragons is going to be messy. And they showed that this episode. Nobody wants it, and I can't wait to see more.
I think Kristen Cole's going to stay strong on his opinions and just keep pushing anyway. I think he's too idiotic to realize how terrible this actually is. He might have seen it. It might have, unsettled his stomach.
You don't think the dragon blood literally dropping on people and turning them to ash because it was that hot? You don't think that was his wake-up call?
Nope. No,
Kristen Cole has 2 brain cells, and both of them are fighting to see which one's dumber. So, no, he is learning nothing from this.
I hate him. He is the worst character out of all of them. He is the all-time worst. Well, him and Otto. I could say Otto's above him. Okay, so he's the second worst character of all time in this show. I can't. He's not as bad as Sabine. But he's pretty
Whoa.
First off, they're great characters doing bad things. That's what makes it. Otto Hightower, for all that he's done to mess up the realm, we wouldn't have a series without it. It would just be Queen Rhaenyra, and they would be hailing her throughout the thing. And we would have never gotten the Targaryens not being on the throne in Game of Thrones. So thank you, Otto Hightower, for being such a douchebag that you screwed up the realm for hundreds of years.
Well, there is something. I actually watched this recently. The religion that Alicent follows, you remember how she said you Targaryens do have queer customs, and she's like looking down on them for their incest and stuff. Well, for Targaryens, that's just what it is. It's not weird to them. They don't look at it the same way. They don't see it as a sin, right? And that's just all Targaryens. They're more likely to marry a sibling, a cousin, an aunt, or something, rather than someone from outside. That's more common for them. So it's normal. So, it could be said, with the church and how they think God doesn't, the gods, that they worship, don't agree with incest. They think it's disgusting, and they,
Viserys wasn't happy about it either.
But let me ask you a question. What do the Lannisters think about it?
Oh, the Lannisters don't care.
Super into it.
Are we getting a little twin-on-twin action? I mean, what's going on?
But my point in that is,
The great
even if Rhaenyra had taken the throne regardless, there probably still would have been a war with the Targaryens. It could be said that there could still be a war with the Targaryens versus the religious type, where their gods think that incest is disgusting. They would have not agreed with their king or queen's customs, and then wanted to change it. So even if this didn't happen, it was destined to happen at some point.
Well, we've mentioned this before, but
go ahead, Doug.
A lot of what George did when he was writing the Game of Thrones and the House of the Dragon is he based a lot of it on actual history that took place. So the fact that you've got the Targaryens marrying cousins and brothers and sisters and stuff, that happened. That actually happened, to the point where I don't know how many people realize this, but by the time we got to World War I, every single one of the world leaders that were fighting the countries that were fighting each other in World War I, they were all related to each other, every one of them.
Do
the
you think
French
they
king,
made a
the
mistake
British king,
calling it World War One? That's
It really should
implied
have just
there's
been a
going to
sibling
be a
fight.
sequel.
You know, at the time, they didn't think ahead there.
No.
Foreshadowing.
There was a skit that I saw once where it was a time traveler going back and saying, "Where am I? Oh, it's 19 so. Oh, World War One. I think I went back too far. What do you mean World War One? Okay,
Yeah.
bye."
Another one?
And the 5 minutes of Gilbert is over, but I just want to say one more thing in Gilbert, because I probably owe some extra time from some other time it was cashed in. Even if Otto didn't start this war, I'm sure Damon would have came after his niece if she was on the crown. So we would have definitely gotten a little Targaryen Dance of the Dragons.
Oh yeah.
It just wouldn't have been as interesting.
Sorry, go ahead.
I just said it wouldn't have been as interesting.
Yeah.
Because she would
Probably
have
not.
mauled Damon for the fool that he is.
No,
Ooh.
I hate Alison Hightower, but I love Olivia Cook though. Not gonna lie, she's awesome.
She's a
And
great
she's really
actress.
pretty.
So who plays the older
Rhaenyra.
What's her name?
I don't know, but I think she's really pretty too, just normal.
No, but she's a good actress too. I mean, they really
Yeah.
went out of
Oh,
their way.
speaking of her, one thing that we forgot to mention so far, and I meant to bring it up when Sierra was talking about Corlys.
Yeah.
I love what this show is doing. Going back to talking about how, like, they Emma D'Arcy,
Yeah.
just like, talking about like how everybody in this world at this time is just so used to things being the way that they are, that the minute Rhaenyra is away trying to talk to Alicent, trying to find a peaceful solution, the minute she leaves, her council is like turning on her and like, well, if she was here, we wouldn't be dealing with this. And where's our fearless leader? And they're all like talking shit about her. But when other people are coming in trying to defend her, they're being dismissive of him. But then when Corlys walks in, he's the older man that shows up, and he's going to speak his mind. Now all of a sudden, oh yes, my lord, as you say, of course I will take a seat. And I think it's a very interesting way to display, to add to the world building of House of the Dragon, to show how these people are with these different situations, and how, like, we're talking about how, like, Daemon doesn't seem to, how he wants to secretly take the throne, how he doesn't, seem to give a rat's ass about Rhaenyra all that much.
Well, and it's not just that. It has been from Rhaenyra, who died. You guys stop with your thumbs up and stuff. You're distracting me. But it was even said, I should have been the queen, but they didn't want, basically a woman to rule this land.
Yeah.
And it came up when, Rhaenyra was made the heir. And so it makes sense. Corlys comes in the room and says, listen, this is how it is. They listen much more to him than they do everybody else. And it's, once again, it's how it's been set up. It's been talked about. It's been hinted at. And so when you see it play out, it's because it's been there in front of us the whole time. And that's what makes the show so incredibly well done.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think. So I think it's more of, if you consider the communication between Rhaenyra and her council, I could also understand why they'd be getting impatient and mad, because she's just
did just kind of like take off on her own without telling him.
Took off. No one knows where she's at. She's been gone because she was grieving before, and now her king consort is just dipped, and now she's just going somewhere as secret plans. What's going on? We have a war, and you're not here to help us figure it out. So and then on top of that, it's not looking good because she is a woman. That does affect how they look at her, and she's not considering that. She's only considering what she thinks she needs to do, and she Which, I mean, honestly, wasn't a bad plan. She needed to make sure that there was no other options, but Allison made sure that there's no other option.
And
I'm
I'm sorry.
I'm hoping
Could you just repeat everything Sierra said? I couldn't understand her since she's a woman.
Yes, let me tell you what happened. No. But, and I hope we see Rhaenyra take charge of the council and do a good job. I don't want her to be just like, oh, because falling for the trap that at Rook's Rest.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, don't send. I was hoping she'd be like, I think this is a trap, but we still have to do something here. Instead of just being like, yes, I'll fly myself. When she said that, I was like, she doesn't see what's coming up.
That's a stupid move.
Yeah. So I hope she redeems herself and starts, listening to her counsel, making good decisions, and all of that after this, because she has.
I am glad they talked her out of it. I don't know why she thought that. Like, I don't know if it was like a redemption thing. Like, she thought, well, I have been gone. They are a little upset that I haven't been more direct. And when she finally put her foot down and admitted, yeah, we're at war. I shot my last shot. It didn't work. So
Yeah.
So I don't know if she was like overcompensating by like, I'll fly in and I'll solve everything and I'll burn everything down with my dragon or what,
I took it as too, because Aegon was so fired up about taking his dragon out and showing everybody what to do. And then obviously we know what happens at the end of this episode to him for doing that. Her being pulled back and not making that same mistake is going to help her make better decisions throughout. It was like she was able to listen to her counsel and make a good decision, where Aegon was like, I'm doing what I think. I'm the king, damn it. I know what's better than any of you because I'm the king, and I'm going to do this. I'm not letting Aemon take the glory in battle. I'm not letting Kristen Cole take any glory. This is all for me. And we see what happens. I talked about it last week. George R.R. Martin, in all of his books and everything he's ever written, you make a mistake, it's usually your last.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
you know what? I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I just had a brain fart. I'm not even I'm so sorry. I cut you off and I don't remember what I was going to say. Give me a second.
You're too young for that to happen, but we understand. But seeing, and I hate to say this, I don't know if you guys watched the little trailer or the scenes from next week.
I didn't yet.
Aegon is not in a casket. He is in like I don't even know what to call it. But basically it looks like he's still clinging to life. And so I'm like, okay.
Is he Kentucky Fried?
You didn't see him. He was just like kind of being carried in. God, what do they call it when they kind of pulling a hurt body?
Gurney?
Are you talking about a gurney?
Not a gurney. Well, it doesn't matter. It basically
Stretcher.
not a stretcher, but
That's just a different word for gurney, Dad.
kind of it, yeah.
Yeah, well.
There wasn't an action.
But he knows
It's
I'm
not
old.
the action.
I'm going away.
He knows I shout at clouds a lot, so he was just trying to help me get there. But I wonder if this is going to be either A, he's going to live and maybe be a little bit wiser in his decisions, or if this is just letting Aemon finish the job in King's Landing.
Slurpee? Oh, Paul says hi.
Paul, how's
Hi,
it going,
Paul.
sir?
We miss you.
Come on
We got
in.
some new
Come on
music
in.
soon.
Thank you.
He does have
I see you got another album coming out soon.
Yeah,
Yeah,
EP.
when's it
for
dropping?
I'm not sure. It's coming out this month, though.
Excellent.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's coming up.
Okay, bye.
Well, we
He's getting
cannot
us
wait.
Slurpee.
He's getting us all
Free
Slurpees?
Slurpee Day. Yeah.
Oh my God, it is
They got
7-Eleven.
the-
Yeah, it's 7-Eleven.
Oh yeah, we can get free big gulp.
Yeah. Free stuff.
A free big gulp at what 7-Eleven? One I went to, I asked for the free Slurpee and they gave me like a little bathroom cup.
Yeah, it's like a little Dixie cup.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, we can go get
Wow.
whatever size we want.
I feel like Owen Wilson.
Oh
when
yeah,
say,
I mean, if you just walk out of the store and you don't say anything, I guess you could.
Yeah, it happens all the time, you know. Ugh. But what was I gonna say? Oh my gosh, I keep having brain
Old
farts. I'm not-
McDonald had a farm. Oh, sorry, that's the voice.
You know what, Dad? You know what? Shush. You're not
If you
helping.
see something,
Ooh.
say something. Okay.
Oh, when it comes to Amond being crispity crunchity crackety, he he doesn't pass, and that was kind of like what. It's not a spoiler at all because that's kind of what the symbol was for, why Aemon was like bringing out the sword because he didn't already pass, so Aemon was gonna do it. It was the symbol. That was what that meant. So, yeah, I was thinking he was. I was definitely like, oh crap, did they do it? No, I wanted them to because I like Ravens better.
I feel like if I had been fried by dragonfire and then dropped out of the sky, I might welcome the sword.
You're not wrong.
At that point,
My life is a living hell.
Hold on.
Please put
Let me
out
look
of my
down first.
misery.
It didn't burn off, did it?
Like I'm crispity, I'm crunchity, I'm crackety. I think it's time. I'm done.
Yeah, man.
I smell like bacon. If you smell like bacon,
God, yeah.
you should
that
probably
can't smell good.
consider, might be the time to go.
It'll be like when they were describing the cologne in Anchorman. Oh, it smells like a diaper filled with bad Indian food.
Sorry, that took me a second. My sister texted me. I had to text her back. I'm sorry. It took me a second.
What? Your sister's texting you right now?
Yeah, she did.
Nope, unacceptable.
Anyway, what is our scale? What do we think? Because personally, my only gripe right now is that I'm not getting it all at once. That's my only problem.
Well,
That's
talk
my
to
only
Paul.
issue. Huh? Oh, the poll.
I said talk to Paul.
No, talk to Paul.
Yeah.
But if we're rating this episode, I mean, this was one of the better episodes, in my opinion, of House of the Dragon.
Oh my God, yeah.
And it capitalized on all the things that came before it. Like Doug was talking about earlier, the whole battle scene at Rook's Rest was so beautifully shot. So incredibly well done with the CGI, with the dragons, the way the battle...
Used their budget correctly.
Exactly. I mean, I see very little... I can't think of anything I would change about this episode. I was enthralled from the moment I started watching it until the episode ended.
Yeah.
The score, the acting, the writing, the CGI, everything was darn near perfect in this. So I am going to give it a 9.5. I love this episode. I think it was the best episode of House of the Dragon that we've seen, and I enjoyed season 1 a lot. And the episodes leading up to this have been good, and this capitalized on all the goodness that came before it. I'm actually planning on watching it again before Sunday's new episode because it was incredible.
I'm sure there's probably scenes that I missed. Yeah, I probably plan on watching it again as well.
I was definitely thinking about rewatching it, but I'm so much of a nerd that at this point, I get this from my dad. He started me off early. I didn't start in my teens like you guys. I started off early. Okay, so when I'm going into my nerd stuff, I'm clocking as much information as I can at this point.
Just so you know, Sierra, I learned to read on comic books. So you insinuating that I didn't start my nerddom until my teen years is wrong.
You couldn't read until you were in your teens?
Yes. I was actually 22.
Oh my goodness. No. Okay, well I'm a young new nerd, about how nerdy you guys were about Star Wars when it came out, how nerdy I am about all this stuff coming out, especially anime. But,
Mm-hmm.
House of Hot D it's pretty
Hot D.
I can't say that with a straight face. I can't.
I know.
House of the Dragon is pretty. Yeah, it's my jam right now, dude. They're not letting me down. And I noticed, Keith, your score just keeps going up, like slowly but surely. It's going up. And for me, with this, my only problem is I want more. I just want more.
That is a
And
good problem to have.
Yeah, I think there's only going to be about 3 seasons, I heard. I don't know if they updated it since then, but I know they got a lot more story to tell. There's a lot more history to go. And, if we're going to consider that within the first 2 seasons, first couple episodes of season 2, and then considering type of crap that they're coming out with, in other fandoms where they're letting you down, like Disney, pretty much anything
What?
Disney, anything Disney, with all the crap that's coming out, this is A+ show. This is, the best, my favorite. So and then when it comes to the episode, I want to give it a 9.5 as well, because it could always get better. There's always room for improvement, But,
Very little, but yes, there is slight room for improvement.
Yeah, but it's almost perfect. But I think I'll give it a 10 when I see the dragons start fighting each other, and that's coming up. So once we see that the war happen, if they do it right, not like they did it in Game of Thrones, if they do this war correctly, I'll be pretty happy. I'll be pretty stoked about it.
Well, Danny just kind of forgot about the Iron Fleet.
Yeah. Oh my. Daenerys was such a good character too, and this makes me appreciate her character more. So then what they did is just like, why? Like, do y'all not like Daenerys? Do you have a personal vendetta against that character? Why did you do her like that?
They had to go make their Star Wars show.
Yeah.
They didn't even make it, so
They're not making it at all. See here.
I know.
After they saw the end of Game of Thrones, they were like, "No thanks."
To
Yeah.
think maybe they would have been the ones who worked on the Acolyte.
Oh boy.
Actually, that's
my
an
God.
interesting thought.
Would it have been better or worse?
I think it would have been better.
Better.
I hate to say
Yeah,
it,
Probably
but I
better.
do think it would be better.
They don't exactly. So far, they're not about the woke stuff, from what I've seen. Which woke
Well-
isn't always a bad thing. It's just when it's too much woke or pushing agendas in people's faces is when it's a lot.
Everything is
It's
pushing an
how you
agenda.
define woke.
Yeah.
It's how you define woke. Some
Yeah.
people define woke as just something they don't like.
Some
Pretty
people
much,
define woke as anything that's not white people.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
pretty much. Or
Well,
white
we all know
straight
throughout the
males.
history of the world, there's only been white people.
Yeah.
In the history of the world, everywhere.
Yep, apparently.
Mhm.
No, that's
There's
not
never been a non-white person anywhere. Because that's how it works.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I mean, yeah, same thing with, indigenous
Otherwise, I'm offended.
people and so on. I feel like there's a little bit of everybody everywhere. I'm not even gonna lie. There's always a little bit of everybody everywhere.
Oh yeah, we're all mixed.
And for me, it's like, I like hearing stories from other angles a lot of times.
Oh yeah.
Like
Yes.
I've talked about it, like how much I enjoyed Spider-Man as a kid. It was like the story I could relate to. And I always talk about when I first started reading Miss Marvel comics, Kamala Khan. It was interesting to me because she was Muslim and where she was raised and how she thought of things. It was interesting to me. It really brought me in. So people saying, "Oh, she's a woke hero." I'm like, she's an interesting character. So it all depends on, your point of view when you want to. Are you open-minded to hear about it, or are you just upset? I think I told
Yeah.
these guys this story before. I won't say who, but I was with people, and the TV was on, and it was a commercial with a African American family, and this person said, "Oh, R.I.P. to white people being in commercials." And all I said to him was, "So you're upset that you're not represented in commercials, right?" He goes, "Yes," and I'm like, "That's how every minority has felt for the last 95 years." And he was like, "I'll shut up now."
Yeah, as he should. As he should. I mean, I don't want to come off. I don't wish any harm to anybody. I don't mean it. Like, even in words, harm through my words. I don't wish any harm to anybody. I don't ever want to offend anybody. I'm always down to understand the opposing side, too. So that's where, when it comes to me, I just hope that they would have the same amount of decency like your friend had, where it's like, okay, like, oh, I can see your point of view. That's really, like, your opinion is your opinion, dude.
Yeah.
You know, if that's what you're rocking with, that's what you're rocking with. I'm not trying to tilt your boat or anything, but, you know, at least try to understand the opposing side. Don't you ever want to understand your enemy? Isn't that in the art of war? You got to understand who your enemy is.
They don't know how to read.
So you might, I mean,
Know your enemy. Yes.
know your enemy. Know your enemy. Dun, 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 dun,
I
dun.
do know my enemy. I
Yep.
tell them no all the time.
But
No,
I'm saying,
you can't have those books. No, you can't let that person read to kids. No, you
Man,
can't
how
have
did it go?
healthcare.
No, I'm saying just maybe try to understand. Even, like, you know, to my own ignorance, my opinion has changed a lot since being out here. This is primarily, you know, like a red state, and we're not going to get into that. I will say that my opinion on certain things have changed basically just by being open to what the other side is saying. So whereas, like, if I were to watch The Acolyte, right, I could be irritated all I want that they're doing things that I don't agree with, but if I try to look at it from, like, a different point of view while watching it, maybe
From a certain point of view.
You can look at it from whatever point of view you want. It's still not going to be a good
I was
show.
gonna say the problem
It's
with the
probably
Acolyte
not.
isn't the characters that are in it; it's the poor writing, and
yeah.
Yeah. And we always
But
say it
then-
on this channel. We
Go
always
ahead.
say, just give us a good story. I
Yeah.
don't care who's in it. Just give me a good story.
Yeah.
It could be an electric eel for all I care.
But I don't know, like the way they're, in my opinion, you know, the way they're going about woman leads, they went about it better in the 80s. You know, Ripley, yeah, she was a good woman lead character. And
Sarah Connor.
she wasn't too brutish. She was just dealing with the situation that was in front of her, and it wasn't about an agenda. And it gave off it gave off feminism without even having to be, like, in your face about it. It's just like, she's just a boss woman. She's just, you know, can I say it?
queen
I've
boss.
already cussed. A queen boss. She's just that already, and you don't have to say it. A queen doesn't have to address herself when she walks in the room. Anyway, you just don't have to make a big deal out of it. Whereas now it's like, in your face, hey, she's a feminist, and, you know, look at her, she's a queen. Oh my gosh. And I just don't appreciate that. Like, I just don't, like, you don't gotta be in your face.
You want
Oh.
it to be more subtle.
Yeah, just be subtle.
More
Like,
subtle.
more like she's just a woman doing what she needs to be doing. It doesn't matter.
So,
Like,
like
it
a good
doesn't
example would be Sabine, and how she's a total badass, kind of.
No, no.
I was drinking
And
something,
even,
Keith.
I
even
saw.
a lightsaber
That's why I had to get it
stab
out,
to the
like-
gut can't stop her.
Oh my
She's that
god.
badass.
I will not listen to anyone's argument about Sabine. They're wrong and I'm
Well,
right.
you gotta
That's-
open your mind,
it.
Sierra. You gotta
No.
open your
No,
But
But
you're
Sierra,
right, you
she
know.
listens to space rock and roll.
you're wrong and I'm right. That's what this is.
It all comes
Hey,
down to
we
what your
could
dad
agree
says.
with you, but then we'd all be wrong.
It all comes down to what
What?
your dad says. Good writing trumps everything.
True.
If you make your characters interesting and you make the story compelling, it doesn't matter who is the lead. It doesn't matter who's a part of the show. It's going to be entertaining. It's when you get
I will be right back.
It's when
One
you get it's when you get
Okay.
terrible writing, uninteresting storylines is when it all falls apart. And we're seeing that with the Acolyte. I hate to say it, but
Luckily, not with Hot Tea.
Definitely not with Hot D. Hot D has been tremendous.
Gosh, Dave, I cannot wait until you get into this season.
I know.
You know what they could do? They could switch. They could make that into a porno without even changing the name.
They really could.
They already have.
Oh my gosh, Dad.
They already have.
They got like.
Hey, you're off camera. You're not supposed to be listening.
Forest
It's supposed to be a
Hump,
kids show.
When it's so close, Forest Hump, and stuff like that. This one they don't even have to change the name. It's great.
Dave, just go into your browser and type in House of the Dragon Rule 34.
Rule 34?
Yep.
Like Zombieland Rule 34 type of thing?
Sure.
Hey, Doug, we never got your rating for this episode.
Oh my gosh, yeah, we totally went off on a tangent. Yeah, I guess
shockingly, we went off on a tangent.
We never do that. Crazy.
Almost never. It's such a joy when we do.
Oh, geez, Doug. What the hell's wrong with you?
Oh, you're welcome. Your search history is ruined forever, and you're now on a list.
Oh, crap. I'm erasing I'm going to format my computer tonight.
The only thing that would make me laugh even harder is if your daughter opened the door and came in the room, right? You were like
oh my God.
What's
That's
that?
not right. He had me look something up.
This is supposed to be a kid's show, guys.
Well, he didn't share a screen, so we're still,
He said prawn, so.
Yeah.
He did. Bad word. Bad Dave.
Shame on you, Dave.
Every time you say a bad word, you lose a Funko Pop. Somebody will come and take it away from you.
Yeah, I want my Funko Pop back right now.
No. You may not have it.
Which one do you
All
like?
right. I suppose I'll go ahead and give my rating for this as we went totally off track.
Yeah.
Do it.
All right. I don't know that I have too much more to add than what you and Sierra already said. It was such a phenomenal episode, and I completely agree that it just seems like it's getting better. On one hand, I still agree with Dave that most of these characters are still really unlikable. Like, I struggle to actually side with any of them, but I'm still very intrigued about all of the politics going on and everything that's happening and all of the fighting and the warring and the scheming. I think it's become my favorite thing about this is who's going to, move their chess piece where and who's already pre-planned. Like, I absolutely loved that council scene with Damon Denegon. I thought that was phenomenally done. I love the fact that you've got him speaking in Valerian and I can has war. Is broken because he doesn't understand. I love that. Like, wait a minute. So you guys have been plotting behind my back? Yeah, dude, you suck as king. Of course we were. We're actually going to win this war for you. And then they get him to, as you put it, Keith, I love that. They essentially goaded him into, getting drunk and getting on his dragon and flying off. And I think this could work in two different ways. And I can see how this is going to work in a political nature. On one hand, all of the citizens saw him flying his dragon. And so it's going to look like, oh, wow, our king has, flown off to war for us. Or as Kristen Cole put it, your king is here flying ahead of you. Muster up your courage and enter this battle to, prove your loyalty to your king. And so I think for the people living in King's Landing, I think they're going to hear this story of the brave king that was shot down by. I'm sure they're going to twist it and say it was Rhaenyra that did it or something.
Of course.
In a cowardly way, she took down our king.
She Kentucky fried our king. And so I really like what this is doing, and the one character that I was actually kind of rooting for that I did kind of like, this show is in a very similar vein as Game of Thrones, where they're not afraid to kill off the character that you like. It's almost like it's a punishment for being too good or too evil. It's like whenever you stray too far in one of the directions, whether you're like really liked or you're really hated, that's you don't get to live in this world anymore. You have to pretty
Oh yeah,
much be a neutral dick.
yeah. That's
Kid show.
real life.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I am going
Put a
to
dollar in a swear
I'm
jar.
gonna oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, Dave.
I said put $1 in a swear jar, Doug.
It's full. I can't fit anything more in it.
That's what she
But
said.
I'm going to rate this episode a 9 out of 10. It was phenomenal. It wasn't,
Wait, what
top
did you
tier.
rate it? Yeah.
What?
What did you rate?
A 9 out of 10.
Okay.
I'm rating this a 9 out of 10.
Very
It was
solid.
really good. It was super good. I enjoyed every bit of it. It was probably the highlight of the TV shows that I watched of that week, and I couldn't wait to talk about it with you guys. But yeah, I'm not going to rate it a 10 only because there are very few shows, very few things that really reach that level. I think the last thing that maybe I rated a 10 might have been, was it an
X-Men
episode of
97.
Loki? Oh, was it X-Men 97? Yeah, that was top tier television. That was definitely 10 out of 10. Like, excellent. And it's very difficult to rise to those levels. But House of the Dragon, really friggin' close. Really close. I am into it, and I'm enjoying it, and it is good that at least one of these shows is fun to talk about.
Well, like we said earlier, two of these shows are fun to talk about.
Yeah, the boys.
Oh, yeah, The Boys. Yeah, of course. Sorry.
It got better. The boys got better.
Yes. It dropped today.
Oh.
They outdid themselves today.
It gives me my answer.
Back in
Pretty
Texas.
What did you guys rate that episode? The last, boys episode you watched?
The last
Give me
Boys.
1 second. I'll be right back.
Yeah, the last Boys episode. I can't remember what I gave it now. It was probably about an 8.2 maybe, something like that. Like the first couple
Okay, so
episodes of
pretty-
this season was, I thought, rough. I was worried about this season, but it has been getting stronger with every episode. In the episode that dropped today, I cannot wait. Much like I couldn't wait to talk about this episode of House of the Dragon, I cannot wait to talk about this episode of The Boys. I watched it at lunch today at work, and like the rest of the day at work, I was just like, oh my God, thinking about it, wondering about it, wanting to watch it again. So it has definitely hit it high this week, especially even after how last season ended. The final little story arc in last season was not high quality that we're used to.
I wanted more of Soldier Boy. I really liked him.
I don't even know if he's done. I mean, he didn't die, so
No, he
might
did
not
not.
be done.
He definitely
see.
might be back.
Yeah, I still gotta watch this. I didn't watch the season because I just don't need the gore. I just don't need it.
The gore, or the gore isn't bad.
I'm gonna be right
It's
back.
the gratuitous sex. That's where it's over the top for me.
What did you think of Hot D? Now where you're at, see episode 2, of season 1.
Season 1, episode 6. I just did the time jump,
Oh yeah.
and I'm digging it. This is my third time trying to get through it, but you know what? After I got through the first few, it just started to flow. There were a few things that kind of disgusted me, but we were talking about them earlier, like how those families don't really care so much about
Yeah.
the incest, and it's like, oh, okay, they're doing it, huh? Great.
Yeah. It's
Where did
great.
they go?
Who knows? Anyway, fucking. Anyway, so what do you think of Allison then? Where are you at with the characters and stuff? What do you like?
Where she, Rhaenyra just had the baby. and I'm assuming it's babies, but
Yeah.
she had one baby, and they wanted it brought immediately to the queen, like before, and then when she carried it over there, and then as soon as she got there, they took them from her, and I
Yeah.
was just that's a she's changed, man. You changed, she's changed.
Alice is
different.
just a terrible freaking person. That's when you can tell what kind of person Allison is. Just terrible, terrible freaking person. And
Raised
yeah.
by-
But what
raised
did
by
we
Al-
tell you, Dad? What did we tell you? We told you if you watched it, if you got past the first couple of episodes, what was gonna happen.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, you told me.
I told you. That's how anime works sometimes too.
Well, that's
So
how
yeah.
a lot. I mean, look at Breaking Bad. You had to get through 4 episodes of that before it started going anywhere.
I didn't. I just don't like how it's always those gangster movies or there's organized crime movies where they start out and you're like, they're genius. Like, they're pretty awesome. And then they always turn out to be whack job crazy dudes with too much power. I just hate it. I'm over that.
I feel like Lenny and
it.
Squiggy. You were talking about whack jobs with too much power as I turned my camera back on.
I talk about you. How'd you know?
I knew it.
You can't really, have him come out on top. He is a drug dealer. You can't have him win.
Wait, who? You
Yeah.
talking about Breaking Bad?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I just didn't like how his downfall was. It could have, I don't know, it could have been a little more commendable. He could have died, but he could have died in a smarter way. I don't know.
No, I thought that was perfect. I mean, the fact that he finally admitted to his wife that he did it for himself was, for me, the crowning moment of that series. I was like, oh. And it was Bryan Cranston just pulled it off expertly.
I just feel like Jesse deserved better. Is all I'm
He
saying.
did. He definitely deserved better. I still need to watch El Camino. I haven't watched El Camino yet.
It was pretty good.
Oh.
You should watch it.
It kind of
I
wraps up
haven't
the story.
Say that again, Dave?
I said it kind of wraps up Jesse's story. That's pretty much what it is.
Yep.
Yeah. If you ever wondered what happened to Jesse, well, there you go, El Camino.
I was more
I
wondering
haven't
about what
watched all
happened
the
to
Better
Jesse's
Call Saul
girl.
either.
You ever watched Better Call Saul?
Not all of it, no. Just a few episodes here and there.
It's amazing the foreshadowing they did. There's something that happens in season 5 of Better Call Saul that happened in season 2 at the same time of Breaking Bad.
Oh, nice.
Tell us
And I
what
went
it
back
is.
and watched Breaking Bad just to make sure that it lined up, and it did. I couldn't believe the forethought that they had.
So wait, did they do it better or worse than this recent episode of The Acolyte?
I'll let you guess. I'm gonna let you guess.
Well, Leslye Headland has said, she loved how Breaking Bad set stuff up and stuff. And it was like, if you're going to put out a show like this, do not say Breaking Bad was your inspiration because you failed miserably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
How do we get on Breaking Bad, Dad?
The other guys were gone, and we were talking about how shows start off slowly. Sometimes they don't grip you right away.
And Breaking
You don't
Bad
grip
did
it.
start off slowly, but once again, as has been well documented on this channel, that's not always a problem for me. As long
Okay.
as I feel like it's building towards something, I
There
can
have
stay.
been a couple of anime that have been like that for me where they didn't grip me right away. And so a lot of times what I'll do is I'll give it the 4-episode rule.
Yeah,
And
it's
if-
always, there's a 4-episode rule. Yep.
And if nothing happens within those first 4 episodes, I'm just like, all right, well, I gave it the old college try. There's a bunch of new, series coming out this season, and I figure I'd try watching some of them, see if any of them are good. I turned on
They're all
one, and
good.
based on the premise, it sounded good, but oh my lord, it is dull. And I'm on
Fun.
episode 2, and I don't think I can make it through to 3 or 4.
Which one?
Called Shy.
Yeah, I get you. The anime?
Do you,
Yeah.
do you
Yeah.
get them?
Shia
Yeah.
LaBeouf.
I wish it would have been more interesting.
I didn't get very far in that either. So it's But
No, the premise was the world was in peril, and a whole bunch of people suddenly sprang up that were superheroes, and they brought peace and harmony to the world. Each country got their own representative superhero, and they fly around saving the day, helping people in distress, and ending all war and hunger and everything. And I'm like, oh wow, that sounds really friggin' interesting. Okay, and then it's literally the name of the superhero is Shy, and she's shy.
Yeah. It's really
it's like,
there's animes that hit and there's animes that miss, and sometimes but the ones you guys are about to watch, don't you worry. Don't you worry about it.
I cannot wait to get you guys on Death Note. Oh,
I'm looking forward to it.
I'm looking forward to it again.
What's after Death Note, though?
I don't know. We haven't thought that far ahead.
Okay, cool. Well, then I won't make any suggestions. I know you guys had a list, but I do
Possibly
have a
Attack on Titan? I don't know.
Attack on Titan's 4 seasons and 2 movies, so
that's okay.
But
it's not like anything else is coming out now.
True. I have a suggestion for you, Doug.
All right.
There's a movie on Netflix called Bubble, and it's an anime, and you should give it a shot. It's about it's kind of like how Shy's name is Shy, and she's shy. There's a woman on there. Her name is Bubble, and she's a bubble.
Oh boy!
But it's a lot.
Okay.
It's a lot more interesting. I can assure you. Like it talks about the Fibonacci sequence. It talks about Japan. It's like an alien thing. No, it's like an alien thing comes down to Earth and just kind of puts a bubble over Japan, and inside this bubble there's like a weird energy vibe, and people can do certain things, and it's actually a lot more interesting than it sounds.
No, I mean, that does actually sound interesting.
Yeah, no, it's the rest of the world is unaffected. It's only Japan. It's only like a Tokyo area. And it's kind of like get your mind in the like Little Mermaid, but with Fibonacci sequences, Japan, aliens, and bubbles. I mean, that sounds kind of wild, but it's really good.
Well,
and if you guys
how high should I be before I watch it?
Pretty high. Okay. You might be more enjoyable that way. Yeah.
All right.
No, I like it. Or a silent voice, which is also awesome.
It's funny. I have that on my list to watch. I must have gotten that from you.
Yeah, watch it, dude. Watch it because it's so awesome. It's gonna make you cry, but it's a good cry.
So good. Like Luke Skywalker showing up on the Mandalorian kind of cry.
No.
Oh.
No.
That's how I feel about the show Erased. Oh my god, I love that show so much.
Oh, have any of you guys heard of the Bear?
Oh yeah, on Hulu.
Yeah,
is anyone watching it?
Yes, chef.
Yes, chef. Heard. Yeah, I don't. Have you watched it all the way through before I start talking?
No, I've only watched the first season.
Okay, well, never mind then. I'll just keep my mouth shut. Yeah,
it's good though. It's
a 97% on Rotten Tomatoes.
I have to watch The Acolyte, so
yeah. Once you get to,
I'm limited in the time that I have to watch shows I want to watch.
Yeah, I mean, when you get to season 3, let me know.
Okay.
Because well, it's on its 3rd season right now.
Wow.
It just finished, and yeah, I'm not pleased. I'm not pleased. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Speaking of being finished, it is pretty late. Not for you out there in Vegas.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
wow.
It's Slurpee time in Vegas.
Sorry. Yeah.
But
if you want, you can keep going if you want.
Yeah, I'll keep going to myself in the Zoom call by myself.
Well, should we wrap things up and look for somebody to raid? on the Twitch side of things?
I do believe
I
so.
got one. I
Nope,
don't.
she's got one.
Yeah, I do got
do you
one.
Who do you got?
LUVXNKII.
Well, hold on. Let me get back to OBS. Spell it again.
OBS.
LUVXNKII.
Wonder what that stands
So
for.
it's LUVXNKII.
KII.
K is in Kinchus.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's what I put. Sweet. All right.
All
So for those of you on YouTube, thank you so much for coming out. We will be back Sunday night talking about The Boys episode 7, which if our foreshadowing with the hints of it today left you any room, come and join us. Watch it. Come and join us. It is a phenomenal episode. And then we'll be back next week to talk about the season finale of The Acolyte and episode 5 of The House of the Dragon. So it'll be interesting. But thanks everybody for coming out. We're about to raid. I don't even know how to pronounce this.
Love and kill. I think that's what's supposed
Love
to
and
say.
kill. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. So if you're on Twitch with us, stay for the raid. If you're on YouTube, thanks for coming out. Don't forget to give us a like, a subscribe if you like what you see. It really helps the channel and we appreciate it. But we will see you guys all Sunday night around 8 o'clock.
Hey fellow nerds, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more of this stuff, make sure that you check out our Twitch stream. We try to do these live Sunday or Monday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Keep an eye on our social media to find out when you can join in live and chat with us during these live streams. Also, as usual, don't forget to check out our other social media. Add us at Twitter, comment down below, and we'll see you next time right here on Not Your Status Quo.